Glenn Clark Radio, talking about the sports you do and don't know, both within and surrounding Baltimore. Don't ask him about preseason games, oh no, stuff and things in Griffin Basso. Despite it being on the internet, he can call it what he wants, so Glenn Clark Radio, Glenn Clark Radio, Glenn Clark Radio. Duke sucks.
Well, good morning. It is a Friday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. And if it's Friday, our chief grand poobah, Stan the Fan Charles, is here. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I don't feel like I'm here.
Well, that's not great. You're not getting better.
I feel like I'm there.
I thought maybe by this point, like you'd say, I feel a little bit better. I don't love that. That's not good. Well, it's good to see you nonetheless. Appreciate you playing hurt. Speaking of playing hurt, everybody's hurt.
On the Twins, you mean?
Yeah, well, that's true. They are all hurt.
And they're still winning.
Yes. Hey, man, the 27 innings the Orioles played against the Twins, they scored runs in 2 of them.
Oh, that sounds good, right?
Got that going for them. Which is nice. They did
Better
score
than 0.
They scored a bunch in one of those, a decent amount.
Oh, it's
When
raining.
the Army
Raining,
folks are running.
raining,
yeah.
raining.
Yeah.
They're scared of the rain?
Yeah, that was a scene. The folks in the Army
Oh, wow, it's really good.
outside our window.
That's like Keystone Cop.
Right?
Or something.
Like, they start walking out, all of a sudden the rain comes, and they just start bolting. Yeah, I don't know what there is
You
to
want
say.
me to go out and do that?
I mean, it was pretty funny, Stan. Like, I wish that anybody else besides you and I had seen it.
I walked out this morning to put my bag. You know, I have a heavy bag, and I put it in the car, and it was a couple raindrops.
Yeah.
And I went back in, and I said, you know, something, I got to make a bagel.
Huh.
So I buttered up a bagel, and all of a sudden, the heavens came down.
Right.
I mean, it was unbelievable.
And they
But
unbuttered your bagel?
no.
Yeah,
no,
right? They
no.
took the butter
And
right
then-
off that bagel.
And then like 2 minutes later, while I'm eating the bagel, it stopped.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that might be because I still see the sun off to the right here.
Yeah.
It felt like the rain was following me while I was driving in. Like,
Yeah?
there was sun in front of me, but my car was getting like not
What the
pounded.
hell is
but,
going on
it was,
here?
It was like,
It's like a scene out of a movie.
yeah.
What's the story on what about the baseball game tonight, Griffin?
I mean, right now,
You're right. Yeah.
I don't feel.
Right,
I
but
mean,
they're
there is light.
but
out,
they're going to
you know,
play
so
the
it's-
game later. What about later?
I don't know. How am I supposed to know what later looks like?
Okay, thank you.
You know,
Appreciate that.
I
Dynamite.
was thinking about this the other day. The reason we had that thing that happened Wednesday, right? Was that the doubleheader?
Yes, the Wednesday was doubleheader.
Was because the Twins only come to town one time.
Yes.
Okay. Is it really worth the inconvenience to the fans and what clearly affected attendance, okay, where they had a doubleheader and they had 10,000 people? Is it really worth the fact that you play every team, you know, in baseball, that you don't have teams in your own league come in twice?
Well, the Twins
and
are probably going to
maybe-
need that win later on. So
What's that?
The Twins probably are going to need that win later on, so they wanted to get it in for sure. It's not
No,
gonna
they
matter for
wanted
the
to get.
Orioles.
I'm not disputing that that's what they had
So
to
I
do.
think they were
but the
also-
whole reason that teams only come in once
Is so
is
you can play the
every-
balance. It's a
everybody-
balanced schedule.
So is it
right.
really necessary that we play the Arizona Diamondbacks? You know, I'm not saying that that you would get every team come in twice, but I don't see the benefit because you're always stressed out, like we will be this weekend with the Washington Nationals.
Yeah, well, with the difference
It's
being
easier.
there's difference in
Yeah.
geography there
Yeah.
because you could probably find a date
Right.
where both of you don't have games later on in the season, and you're right there. I know what you're saying. I don't think that you purposely undo the balanced schedules. Like, I do get the thought. And a lot of teams, would say, hey, that's your choice to not have a roof on your stadium, right? Like,
Right.
you did that to yourself. We got a roof. We're good. We don't have to worry about
Right.
these things. Not our problem. That's your
But
thing.
do you, as a fan, do you really get a benefit that outweighs what happened Wednesday, where you had a doubleheader and people are going, nice attendance, nice attendance? You go, well, it helps when the game is played when it's scheduled.
As scheduled,
to be played.
correct. Yeah, I couldn't believe that they had moved up the night game to be an afternoon
So I
game.
forget
They're,
what the
they're
exact-
being much more proactive
Right,
about
towards-
changing schedules
yes.
like this, and I think it's to the detriment of attendance.
I also
and I don't see the
yeah.
don't see the weight of how important it is that we play the San Francisco Giants.
I don't
every year.
think it's that big of I think that people in the internet snark related to attendance
Right.
is more significant than the actual concerns about attendance,
Right.
right? Like we talked about this in the playoffs. If your priority is attendance, there are things that you can do to try to improve attendance, right? And like there are areas where they do. They want the weekend games. They want more people to be here.
I'm
for
not
weekend
doing
games.
this as an attendance thing.
Yeah.
I'm doing it as a common sense thing.
I would not
with
be.
weather as volatile as it is
I understand what
these
you're saying. I would not be interested in unbalancing the schedule.
Okay.
I would not be interested in that.
Okay. I'm very interested.
I think that it's the right thing for competition reasons throughout the sport,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't be interested in going back to an unbalanced schedule because of it. I also think that it just sort of got like, okay, another series against the Rays, another one. Like that, you got to a point where you're playing teams so frequently that.
Well, when you play teams 18 times,
Yeah.
that was a lot.
Yeah,
but-
and I just think that it's too much
Yeah.
when it comes to that, and I think that's the alternative to this. And I do like the idea of it's new, it's a different team. I think it makes you a better baseball fan when you see other teams this much and you're aware of who those players are. Whatever. It's good to talk about something besides the fact that the Orioles stink.
I was just gonna say I forget what the exact schedule was Wednesday night, but I felt like there were supposed to be storms Wednesday night.
Yeah, that was why they moved it up.
Yeah,
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, because
So-
they're trying to be proactive in
Yeah.
that way, and I'm not.
I'm all for being proactive about it. I'm just saying that every time a team comes to town, you go, geez, we've got to get these games in because it's
It's the only time we're
it's
going
the
to
only
see 'em.
time
Correct.
they're coming to town.
Yep, 100%. And I guess what I would say is like that could happen in September too, even in an unbalanced schedule, right? And like that if it's the last time a team's coming to town, you're still gonna have to do the same thing. I don't think it's the end of the world. Whatever. I don't have a strong feeling about it, I guess, either way. Yesterday, gross. Just kind of no way around it. Gross. Just a gross day of baseball. What do? I got no answers, man. I'm fresh out. I've heard people talk about like the really dramatic scenarios where like, is it time to consider optioning Adley Rutschman, which like we talked about with Ryan Mountcastle a couple weeks ago, and then Ryan Mountcastle started swinging his bat a little bit. I think it sounds crazy. It sounds insane, the idea of optioning Adley Rutschman. And part of it is you don't really have a better catching option. You don't. Like if you
That was Gary Sanchez.
Thank you. Sure, he is still on. You're right. If he comes back healthy, I guess he's on the team.
Maverick Hanley's got a cool name. I mean,
Maverick Hanley does
and a
have
good walk-up song.
Does have a cool name. Oh, I don't even know what his walk-up song
It's
is.
he walks up to the danger zone.
That makes all the sense in
yeah.
the world. Makes all the sense in the world. Very smart. I hear the thought. Like, I get it. I understand why the question's being asked. I just don't think – I think it's a luxury that you don't have the option to try to take advantage of right now.
The larger question is just what happened to Adley Rutschman.
Well, and how do you fix it?
Yeah.
How The idea being you fix it by what's happening at AAA that fixes it if you option him. Because I get the idea. Like, the conversation is, how do we fix this? How do we get Adley Rutschman back to being Adley Rutschman again? For some people, the answer is, well, this is why you have to have a different – you got to fire your hitting coach. There's got to be a different hitting coach that's brought in to work with it. If it was just the hitting, I could listen to that. It's not just the hitting. Like, his throws are awful. Like, they're not even
he's not
competitive. I don't know what it is. And to say that you bring in an entirely new staff altogether to specifically work with Adley Rutschman, do you hire an Adley Rutschman-specific coach of some sort? I would have thought that Robinson Chirinos was here in part with that being his responsibility, right? Like, you're the guy that knows this guy, and you had success as a catcher. We need help here. I don't know. I'm hopeless as to what the answer is with Adley Rutschman. I have very little reason to believe that it's going to change tomorrow, because why would it change tomorrow?
Right. When it's been 100 games, or actually about 125 games.
Yeah.
It's getting close to a full season.
100%.
Yeah.
And I don't know I don't have the answer.
Yeah.
I just don't have anything that would tell you this is how you're going to fix Adley Rutschman.
Yeah.
Is that going to be what costs someone their job? The record is probably going to cost someone their job at some point. Like, that's the way it's going to go. But the Adley Rutschman thing, to me, is as concerning as the record itself, right? Because I don't see a path forward.
So if you're David Rubenstein right now and Michael Arrighetti, assuming he has some say in this,
and we have reason to
game,
think that that's the case.
Yeah. What would you do? I mean, to me, the people that want to just fire Brandon Hyde, okay, that's really going to change an awful lot, I don't see that. I see that being just a scapegoating.
Well, I do think it's scapegoating, but I also think that's how baseball works, right? Like,
I don't think it's very smart.
But what's the wisdom in just doing the same thing?
I think there needs to be a round table. If I were David Rubenstein, I would call in Mike Elias and Brandon Hyde. And if you want to include Sig in there, fine, go ahead. But I don't get the sense that this is a Buck Showalter, Dan Duquette relationship.
No.
I think they have a pretty good relationship. Except I think that what's missing here, and I'm starting to hear a lot of people saying it's too much with the analytics. I know that Jerry Coleman and Mike Bordick had their podcasts, and they talked to Joe Foss, and Joe's of the opinion that there's too much reliance on analytics. My point is, just like Dan Duquette and Buck Showalter never saw eye to eye on anything, I don't think Mike Elias uses his chief really baseball person to his full benefit. In other words, I would like to know what input Mike Elias had on the roster construction. Did Mike Elias want Gary Sanchez?
So
did Mike Elias? I mean, excuse me.
Yeah, Brandon
did
Hyde.
Brandon Hyde
Right,
want Gary Sanchez? Did he prefer James McCann? I sure think he would have preferred James McCann to Gary Sanchez. Now, that's just one example. Do you think he really wanted – he's the baseball person that watches people play baseball. I'm not saying that Mike doesn't, but wouldn't you really want his input in Tyler O'Neill?
I think you'd want his input on a lot of things.
Yeah.
I would like –
and I think it was made very clear, knowing Mike the way I do, I think I'm the GM. I make these decisions.
Correct.
You manage the team.
Correct.
Okay. I don't think that's a healthy way to do it. I think it's a collaborative thing, and I don't know if there's enough collaboration And before I would just want to dismiss Brandon Hyde, if I'm the owner of the team, I would like to know more about their relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to that. I'm not sure what that does to fix this, right? Like,
Well, you might not be able to fix this right immediately, but long term, I don't know that I want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. You know, I'm not sure that they're going to hire somebody that's better than Brandon Hyde.
well, if they do, I certainly don't think it's going to be now, right? Like, if they were to fire Brandon Hyde, I don't think it would be to bring in an outside manager today. I think it would be
I
to
think
just
they'd do an interim
correct
type of thing.
And
I'm not sure that fixes what the problem is. In other words, let's just say they hire the guy that I would most want to hire would be Skip Schumacher.
Okay.
I don't know that changes what I'm saying might be the problem here. Is I want my manager to have, I want him to at least
Bill Parcells gets to have a
exactly,
word in buying the groceries.
Yeah,
right,
I would like him to have some say-so in, I want some of that celery over there,
You want me to make the dinner, I should have the chance to have input on the groceries.
And I think that's one of Brandon's weak points, and I think he's being a good soldier, and that might be what eventually leads to his demise here.
I think the way that I said the other day, Stan, is I don't think any of this is Brandon Hyde's fault. I have no thought to that. But in baseball, in order for the microscope to go to a certain place, you have to take away some of the variables.
Right.
And I do think that Mike Elias needs to come under the microscope a little bit. I think that David Rubenstein, understandably, was deferential towards Mike Elias. Understandably so, right? He walked in. Things have been going well.
He took over a team that was a good team when he took it over.
Yep.
And had every reason to
say,
believe
let's not,
that this is going to be a good team for the
next 5-6 years. Let's
not
screw with
years.
this plan.
Yeah.
Let's not, mess with anything.
Right.
And in order for the microscope to go under Mike Elias, and whether or not Mike Elias is the one thing I've always said about Mike Elias when someone's asked me if he's a good general manager is, if I'm being fair, I don't know.
Yeah.
He's never actually been a general manager of a team that was trying to win.
Right.
So I don't know if Mike Elias can put together a championship team.
He certainly made a series of moves now that really call into question. And the analogy I've used before is he's a golfer that, like so many golfers, can drive the heck out of the ball down the fairway, but then where the points are in golf are closer to the hole.
Mm-hmm.
Can you shave those things? And I'd say so far he gets a failing grade at making the moves to make a good team better.
I think there's, obviously we would point out moves that the Zach Eflin trade was phenomenal. And, the Tomo Sagano signing has been exceptional in a very small, he's not going to be here very long. But those two moves have been good. But, on the whole, yes, a failing grade, absolutely, from taking a good team and liftoff or championship level, whatever you want to call it, he has failed to do that.
Yep.
So in order to me, for the microscope to go, or for him to go under the spotlight and trying to figure out as an organization, is Mike Elias the guy that's going to get us there in this moment, you have to remove other variables. And the first variable, unfortunately, to me, becomes the manager, which is the argument of, is it possible that we do have the right players, it's just for some reason it's not working anymore, whatever that reason would be, the proverbial has the message gotten stale, that conversation, you have to do that. You check that and say, okay, we switched managers and nothing changed.
Yeah.
So the problem wasn't the manager, the problem was the construction of the roster. Now,
and let's be fair to Brandon Hyde and to Mike Elias. You don't have Grayson Rodriguez.
Yes.
You don't have You didn't have Zach Eflin for over a
weeks,
month.
yeah.
You don't have Jordan Westberg. You don't have Colton Cowser. But you do have Ryan Mountcastle.
You do have Ryan
and
Mountcastle.
You do have Heston
and again,
Kjerstad.
that to me is why the Adley Rutschman of it all is probably the biggest part of the problem, right?
That's the biggest difference in this team.
I wouldn't feel the way that I feel if Adley Rutschman was working. If Adley Rutschman was working, if Gunnar Henderson,
I don't think we'd be 12 games under. We might be 6 games under 500, but we would have never gone this.
And you
far.
could see the path for, okay, if you do get some pieces back,
Yeah.
these things are working. You could start to map out how it could still work out.
Right.
At the moment, I cannot map out a path for the Orioles with Adley Rutschman performing at the level that he's performing, where they can be competitive.
Do you see? And I'd bring in our baseball man from this week in the rest of baseball.
Yes.
Do you see? I have an awful lot of people who say he's hitting in bad luck. I don't see that.
So
that he's hitting the ball hard, but I didn't. I was at the first game of the doubleheader, and I was there for 4.5 innings of the second game, and I didn't see him get the ball out of the infield.
Yeah, I mean he's hitting the ball. We talked to J.J. Cooper yesterday, and he broke down kind of his baseball savant profile, and he's in the red in a lot of categories. Is also in the blue in a lot of categories, but JJ also pointed out that he's the same categories he's been in the blue, like bat speed.
So here's
the red is not good.
His expected batting average, right, according to is 279.
Okay,
right.
And what's his real average?
190 or
194.
Yeah, I think it's at 200.
So
now.
This is where that dichotomy comes into play, where someone says it's not as bad as you think it is.
Right.
He's making the type of contact that should result in more hits. The point that Griffin's bringing up is, but his barrel percentage is not good.
Right.
It's bad. It's very bad. His exit velocity is down. Like, you can look at all these numbers and say, okay, well, he's made some contact that, like, the ball could have fallen, but it's not because he's actually
hitting the ball well.
Right, except that then you look at he's squared up in the 96th percentile of all hitters in baseball. So then you find yourself saying, okay, so is he a good hitter or not? And the point that J.J. Cooper was making is that some of the numbers that were down, like barrel percentage, 2 years ago when we thought Adley Rutschman was a rock star, he didn't have a very good barrel percentage. So it is hard through the numbers to decipher if he's actually worse at this point 2 years later, or if he's just having worse luck 2 years later. The numbers will not perfectly tell that story.
Right.
I am as concerned with the fact that the throws are as bad as they are, that he's not catching anyone. I can't believe teams don't run more frequently on him because they're not.
Right.
They're not
it's
close.
Like almost a 0% chance of him.
I think he's thrown out one runner all season.
Yeah.
That it seems like there's something more going on here. And that's where it becomes really concerning to me. Is it's not just at the plate. And I brought it up to, I don't remember who we were talking about with this the other day, that the argument that some people, the dramatic thing to try to fix Adley Rutschman would be, maybe as we see Samuel Basayo get back to catching this week at Norfolk, maybe when Samuel Basayo gets here, Adley Rutschman doesn't catch as often.
Yeah.
The flip side argument is, well, if he's going to hit like this, the only thing you can do is catch. Right. Because it's the only value that he brings to a team.
I think it was Zimborski,
is catch. Yeah, Dan Zimborski from Fangraphs said that. But then you would say on the other side of that,
Dan Zimborski, who stood us up last week.
There was a family emergency last week. So
he stood us up.
Yeah, we gave him. We always give everybody. You get two. Yeah. It's the George W. Bush
GCR
thing. It's the fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, but we won't get fooled again. That's the way that we always go about doing that. That's our rule. But the argument would be for Adley Rutschman, would just having him almost not catch at all, give him a chance to simply can you fix
concentrate on that horrible, that 194 batting average.
I mean, you got to do something dramatic. Like how do you, this is I think the problem that people that look, they're the craziest of the crazies are always going to want to fire somebody. You know, those people I don't ever listen to. There is the flip side, the sycophants, the nothing is ever wrong, like the loudest of the loud, you can ignore on both sides. In the middle, there are reasonable people that just say, you've just got to do something.
Right.
You can't keep saying everything is fine.
So to the firing discussion then, hitting, if it's Cody Ashe, is that accomplished enough in your eyes or no?
I don't know. I'm not.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not rooting for anyone to get fired. If they all got together in that powwow and said, we just got to do something else from a hitting perspective. We have to work on that. Like we can understand.
Look, I heard Brandon Hyde the other day say it very succinctly, dispassionately. He said, "We're hitting 223 as a team, and our earned run average over 5 runs a game." He goes, "That's not a recipe for success.
How you gonna win it all?
You're not going to win games."
But I think most of us would say, yeah, but that's probably about right from the pitching, given who you're throwing out there.
Right.
From the lineup, we can say you're missing Jordan Westberg. A healthy Jordan Westberg would help. There's no doubt about it. I don't really know how much Colton Cowser is helping. This goes back to right now. Colton Cowser's
vibes.
He's vibes 100%. He's a guy that had 6 really good weeks of being a major leaguer, and that's kind of what we have for Colton Cowser. I don't think the story of the Orioles offense is that Colton Cowser is missing until proven otherwise. We can make our snarky comments about Kyle Stowers and all of that. I would say the hitting is the area I would say this is objectively a failure. This group of players should not be performing like this. Yeah. And if the answer is okay, then we have to try it with a different hitting coach. Okay. Yeah. I mean I think it's a reasonable math to deduce that, and it's not a bloodthirst thing for me. Like somebody's got to be fired. It's
that's never intelligent.
I don't care if people think that's enough or not. It's about trying to solve the problem.
Yeah.
And I would have no problem with saying we have a hitting issue. That's the department where we need to focus on making a change. Let's talk about that. It's not going to be Matt Holliday. It's just not going to happen.
No. New owner. He's got a lot of money, right?
I hear you.
There's no salary.
What's the story? Do we want to grab a break or do we?
I think we should. Yeah, we can grab.
Well,
a break
you know what?
here. Or do you want to keep going?
We'll save it because we got to talk about this. We have a guest scheduled to join us in a couple of minutes.
Oh yeah.
It's a weird day here on GCR because it requires us to pull back the curtain a little bit. Our friend Mike Tirico is scheduled to join us in just a couple of minutes. Now, if you're a regular Friday listener, you might say to yourself, huh? Same guy? And I would say yes, same guy. Mike Tirico. That Mike Tirico, the one that you were to understand, has been in a decades-long blood feud with our own Stan the Fan Charles. Now, here's the thing. We could try to do shtick with this, but I think it's just going to confuse Mike Tirico.
Why? What do you mean?
I would love to bring Mike Tirico on and be like, Mike, can I pull the curtain back for a little bit here? We've been doing this years-long thing, this bit that you hated our friend Stan. Maybe Mike would go right along with it. He's a professional.
Right. He probably would.
There's a good chance of it. There's also a chance that he would.
Stan's on right now?
Yeah. There's also a good chance that he would say, huh?
I'm not going to go on the show. You're right.
Huh? So we're probably going to choose not to make our segment with Mike Tirico be about the blood feud that we created between he and Stan. The truth is that when Mike Tirico's done Ravens games, he's just typically wanted to record on a Thursday. That's the way that it's worked. And Stan isn't here on Thursdays, so he's
and
not.
You had me convinced.
Yeah,
I
did.
said last night, I'm not so sure I want to appear with Mike Tirico without an apology.
So, yeah, Mike Tirico is going to join us in just a minute as he's getting ready for a Preakness coverage on NBC tomorrow. Hopefully he's all right.
I mean, you even took it to the point you accused me.
Oh, yeah, being the one that gave him the peanut, right? Of sabotaging him in the Kentucky Derby. Griffin sent me that message this week. I'm like, we're ruining a bit. We're ruining it. But we like Mike Tirico, so we're going to do that. Later on in the program, Eno Sarris from The Athletic will join us. We'll get his thoughts on the mess that the Orioles find themselves in. Hey, today's show is brought to you by Game Day Men's Health, one of our newest partners here at GCR. I was out at Game Day Men's Health in Owings Mills yesterday, and I...
What do they do?
You know, Stan, men of a certain age, and I'm getting into that territory where, like, you've always been young and you've recovered well, and then you start just waking up and everything hurts. And
I don't know what you mean
yeah,
by that.
I'm sure you haven't felt that at all. Maybe perhaps you've dealt with performance issues in the bedroom. Maybe you've dealt with lots of different, just feeling run down. Game Day Men's Health is here to help you, and it's sort of a safe space because these are difficult things to talk about with, like, your friends, your family. You don't want to acknowledge, like, I don't feel quite as much of a man as you felt at other times in your life. Perhaps losing weight is a little bit tougher than it was in your 20s or 30s. Your metabolism has changed. GameDayMen'sHealth.com is the website for you to find out more. I'm going to be doing a peptide treatment, and I'm going to be starting with that, and I'm going to be telling you guys about those experiences and what it does for me. I feel run down constantly, and my sleep schedule is not great. And so I'm looking forward to talking to you guys about my experiences. And if this is just something that you've been dealing with, you're a man of a certain age, GameDayMen'sHealth.com. That's the website for you to find out more. All right, coming up tomorrow, right here in Baltimore, the 150th Preakness, and for the final time at the old Pimlico before the bulldozers hit and things get ripped down, and there is a new facility here in a couple of years. Now joining us is the voice of NBC's Sunday Night Football and the Olympics, Mike Tirico, who will be hosting the 150th edition of the Preakness Stakes tomorrow at 4 p.m. on NBC and Peacock. Mike, it's Glenn and Stan. It's great to chat with you as always. Thank you so much for taking the time for us.
Good to be with you guys. Good to be back in Baltimore. How we doing?
Everything is good, Mike.
What the hell? What the heck's happened to the O's?
Oh,
Jeez.
God, Mike. God, we could.
I mean,
you want to do this?
I get.
Yeah.
Well, no. So it goes like this. You're coming to town.
Yep.
Week or two before, you go, okay, hey, are the O's in town?
Let's go
Are
to
they
a game.
playing?
Sure.
Right. Okay. Great. And let me go check this out because I live in Michigan. I know Tigers have had a good year,
Yeah.
and most of the AL Central's had a good year. So I'm really sure. And I was stunned to see the O's in last place. Where's all the young talent that I was hearing about last year?
Oh,
It
Mike.
got old very quickly.
Yeah, right. Overnight. Yeah, it's really like we've been spending the last 30 minutes talking about how to fix Adley Rutschman. It is a mess. And by the way, the Tigers might be a good example that people brought up. Like the Tigers once sent Spencer Torkelson down, right?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
that's
Yeah.
maybe there is a panic button to push in Baltimore.
He went down last year, and
Yeah.
he went down. I mean, sorry to delve over here, but he went down last year, and really going into this spring training, it was a question if he was going to make the team.
Yep.
And he got his hitting right through the summer, through the fall, and he came back, had a really good spring, and has been just exactly what you thought he'd be as a number one. And what we forget is we fast forward these guys so quick, and then they find holes in what they do. And this league has become so good in power pitching to the holes of a hitter that it exacerbates quickly. So there has to be an adjustment, especially when you're catching. That's a hard time to make an adjustment and handle a pitching staff and all of that. So it's only May, some patience, but it was one of those surprise things that I thought, okay, this young core, they're going to be here for like 4 or 5 years, pushing the Yankees ahead of where the Sox were in the AL East. But nobody's run away, so there's plenty of time. It's only May.
I hear you. I hope you're right about that, Mike. I hope. Mike, I know you've talked about it ad nauseum this week. We've been talking about it on this show. Of course, the disappointment about tomorrow is there's no sovereignty. There is no Triple Crown at stake this year. The horse racing has been reluctant to be quick to make changes. It has been a sport that has clung to tradition. I would tell you that I've probably been a traditionalist, right? Like, I love the Triple Crown. I used to do the show from the Derby every year. Like, I want it to be hard, but I was talking to your colleague Randy Moss about this the other day, and he said, right, but like if the fields aren't going to be good, is it really even all that hard for the horses that try to run the races? Have we finally reached the breaking point where it is time, and that those in the industry know we need to change the schedule and separate these races?
Can I stay with baseball for a minute for an example? So nobody pitches on 3 days rest in a 4-man rotation anymore. Nobody. Barely get it in the playoffs, right? Why? Because over time, the sport has evolved to where we don't do that. So now we've looked at horse racing, where the horses never run and wheel back on 2 weeks, except you ask them to do it in what has been one of the crown jewels of the sport. if people have stopped doing it, and yes, we do have 3 horses here who ran in the Derby, but in general, if most of the sport doesn't do it, why continue to make this the gap between these 3 big events? It's a sport that needs, well, first off, like college football, it needs a commissioner. It's a sport that needs a lot of people working together to help elevate the sport because it has continued to backslide on the American sports radar. The Derby, however, has continued to elevate. So why not just look at all of this data under your nose and say, hey, this event's working really well. How do we carry that momentum? Let's get the horses that we learned there to the next big race, to the next big race. Can you imagine if you had somebody go for the Triple Crown? The Belmont would be a big event. Now it becomes an afterthought, and the same thing is happening with this race. So it is a mistake by the people who run the sport and the inability of these 3 bodies in Maryland, New York, and really 2 bodies. Kentucky's staying right where they are, and they should. It's short-sighted, and it is not doing the sport any good, in my opinion.
Mike, what is the proper distance between the race? Should it be 1 in May, 1 in June, the Belmont in July? Is it that simple?
It is somewhere around there. Look, I would say from a sports card perspective, it'd be great to do this race Memorial Day weekend. Obviously, because Memorial Day weekend is so big, so many people go to the shore and all that. I understand that. So maybe it's the first Saturday in June, and Belmont becomes first Saturday in July, or the last Saturday in June. However the spacing would work. Even if the Preakness was 3 weeks instead of 4, it would be a touch better, right? Because you can't dial in first Saturday of May to Memorial Day every time. You just have to find that spread of what do the horses normally run. They normally come back on 4 weeks. Look at the preps. It's 4 to 5 weeks.
Yep.
If we could do that, it would make the most sense to me.
Yeah. Mike Tirico is with us. He'll, of course, be hosting coverage of the Preakness tomorrow on NBC and Peacock. Mike, just one more thought on this. Like, again, given you are around these people and you are a significant figure, do you sense that they know? Like, that's the part that I keep coming back to is I feel like the momentum is there. I just don't know if it's with the people who matter most in making these decisions.
Correct. And they don't work together, and especially that's New York and Maryland. And if they do work together, it would behoove both, I think. I think the Belmont's better served if you have a horse coming in with a shot at the Triple Crown, or if they go back to the old days where they used to be sponsored by a couple of different entities, a Triple Crown Challenge where the horse that had the best aggregate finish in the 3 got a bonus of whatever, and then if they won the Triple Crown, it was a bigger bonus. It would make the most sense to do that. And look at golf. By moving the Players' Championship and the PGA Championship, you go March the Players, April the Masters, May the PGA, June the U.S. Open, July the Open, August the FedEx Cup playoffs, September either Ryder or President's Cup. Every month you've got a big event. So if you did this in racing, you would have May for the Derby, late May, early June for the Preakness, July for the Belmont, August for the Travers, or September, the big races that they have usually at Saratoga. And then you point towards the Breeders' Cup in November. And now the sport would have big moment that you could put big cards around every month. And that could build some interest and get horses more involved in these big events. You try to get the best golfers play in the biggest events together, and they're a big deal. That's why they put these signature events together. Yeah. You need to get the best horses, the 3-year-olds, the most attention grabbers of the sport. You need to get them in the biggest events together. And the sport is also damaged by, as opposed to being bred to run, the sport is pivoted a little bit, and now they run to breed.
Yes.
So you're not getting the horses staying around much anymore. Like when the people of the 20-plus million people that saw Sovereignty win the Kentucky Derby, how many of them will see him run another race on TV?
A handful. Yeah, right. Yeah.
And that's a problem, right? Maybe the Breeders' Cup Classic, but that always happens during football season. Numbers aren't the same. So that's a problem. With the Preakness and the Belmont being on the same page, you might get a little bit of, hey, we can build a horse that I want to see run the next time he runs in the summer or in the fall. That's where they're missing. And somebody's got to get their act together and say, from a marketing standpoint, we're dropping the ball here. at a sport that is struggling around the country with a variety of tracks closing down.
Mike, as somebody that is very integral to the coverage of racing on NBC, I wanted to ask you, I don't often ask questions about other talents, but
Sure.
I am so taken by Brittany Earton and the work that she does. Can you tell me a little bit about what your thoughts on her as a talent?
Laker and Dodger fan. Let's start with that, right?
We were going well until then. We were going well until that moment.
LA kid and one of the nicest people and super talented. Brittany came onto the racing team, I guess, about a year after I did. So I've worked with Britt for the last 8 years or so.
Yep.
Her dad Peter is a very good trainer, based out on the West Coast with some very good horses. Has had horses in Breeders' Cup. Has had horses in some of the classic races. So she grew up around the sport. Worked at whatever the iterations have been in terms of names of TVG, FanDuel, and those places. But Britt's a special talent, great person. As people who watch horse racing know, she's been on the desk hosting a lot of the shows that lead up to the Derby, all those prep races from Santa Anita, et cetera. And she can report and do that and cover other sports as she has doing reporting for soccer over the last year or so. She's super talented, one of my favorite people to work with. So you ask about a great person for sure.
Okay.
Mike, we mentioned it's the 150th, and of course it's the final Preakness at the current version of Pimlico. You've been coming here for years, and ever since you started coming, there's needed to be a new Pimlico. We're finally going to have one. Your reflections, maybe your emotions. I think the Baltimore Banner wrote something this week where, like, yeah, it's kind of an old piece of junk, but it's also our old piece of junk, and a lot of us do have emotional feelings towards a facility that we've known has needed to change for a very long time.
Right. I grew up in New York at Shea Stadium. When they closed that before Citi Field opened, there was a T-shirt going around. Yes, it's a dump, but it's our dump.
Right.
Right. You lovingly have fond feelings for those places. So this is interesting. We've got an amazing research team, and one of the people who leads that is a gentleman named Ron Vaccaro. And Ron sent us an article this week about a story that appeared in the paper regarding how Pimlico has outlived its usefulness and it's starting to fall apart and it's really time to change. And Ron sent it out with a guess of, hey, guess what year this was written? And I'm like, 2008, 2012. It was written in the 1960s.
Yeah.
So this is generations-long conversation about the usefulness of this facility. And look, it's one of the physically most damaged facilities that I get to covering sports. It's old, it's time, it's not useful in any way, shape, or form anymore. There's really a lot of Band-Aids on it. The good news is the rebuild is happening on the same site. So much like Lambeau Field or the Big House in Ann Arbor that looked nothing like they did 60, 70, 80 years ago, at least you're in the same place. You're on the same site. So hopefully with a creative eye to build a place that has familiarity and has a little charm and feel, you can continue the history here on this same site for generations to come. And my inspiration is we're in the city that built the definitive classic-looking, old-style new ballpark in Camden Yards. And it's the example that people have used for 30-plus years of, man, can we build something like that? Maybe they could do that here and regenerate and re-energize Maryland racing in this one location. I think it's a tall task. My eyes are not blind to this. I think every part of this is a lift. But hopefully in 3 years or so, we see that this plan has come together and it impacts in 5 or 10 years the neighborhoods around here as well.
Boy, you ain't kidding, Mike. You are not kidding. Hey, Ravens-Bills, week 1. That sounds pretty good, right?
It sounds fabulous, doesn't it? And then know we have a Thanksgiving here, which is great with Cincinnati. So we are super excited about that. And look, the Ravens season is one of those seasons, right, where the regular season's important because you got to get there, and it's not easy to get there. But you're kind of judged on the highest level of grading. The highest curve of grading belongs to a team that's been double-digit wins 6 out of 7 years. a quarterback who's won 2 MVPs and had a better year last year. But there's not much more they can do in the regular season. I think those are hard years. Those are hard years because the expectation is you have to win 13 games and be great. And that's not easy to do, especially this year, I think, guys, because the AFC North plays the NFC North. When you look at that schedule, the games against Green Bay and Minnesota and Chicago and Detroit, those are not easy games. So I think it's a tough schedule to win as many, but can you get there to be in position to win those couple of games in January? That's how this season and these seasons become defined because of the excellence from John and from the entire team. And, Lamar's built for that. He's in the prime of his career, so it's going to be a great season. I'm really looking forward to it.
It actually is very difficult, as you point out, for us to get fired up about the release of the schedule because around here we're just like, right, get back to us in the playoffs. Like, get back to us.
Exactly.
Right? Like, what are they going to do? We know they can win big games.
But it's going to be harder this year. I'm telling you,
Yep.
and I've told folks in the NFC North that too. AFC North against NFC North, save Cleveland right now.
Mm-hmm.
And Cleveland, if they can get their quarterback situation going, and you guys know division-wise, those Cleveland games, they're never easy.
Yep.
They're never easy in this division, right? So save the Browns in terms of that marquee. I think the Bears are the hot off-season team in the NFC because of Ben Johnson and what they've added, all of that. Those 4 teams against the 4 teams in the AFC, those combinations of those teams going against each other, not just their division games, but the crossover games, man, that's good. That's good. I think that's why the schedules look so good to a lot of folks, because you've got some really attractive games like that on the card this season.
All right, before we let you go, I'd be remiss. Everything's okay, right? Like, we're good. Did you find out who did it to you? Like, who's the guilty party from?
Famous last words, right? Who was trying to take? Nobody's trying to take me down. I'm feeling fine, doing good.
Right.
Just a nut allergy, my own fault of just snacking on something that I wasn't 1,000% sure of, and I'm feeling great. Felt great 2 days later, and looking forward to making it through the race here this time.
Mike, it's always good to have you back in Baltimore, my friend. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning. We really appreciate it.
Oh, well, it was a pleasure. Good to catch up with you guys. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Mike.
Mike Tirico from NBC with us here on GCR. I
detected a little.
Oh, you still think there was a bit of disdain there? You still think that, like, oh, you didn't tell me. He's here.
He did say, I was like, I got Stan and Glenn here. He's like, oh. And I was like, yeah, thanks, Mike.
The bit's back on.
All right. I wish you could have had that audio, actually. Could play that for years. Huh. How about that? Griffin, I just realized I don't know when Eno's coming on. What time is it?
11:30.
11:30. So are we doing?
I could have told you that.
Yeah, I just realized
Sorry
I was
about that.
never informed. It hit me. I was like, I don't know what I'm plugging. So you want to do this week and the rest of baseball when we come back in?
Twitch
All right.
Robina.
When we come back in, Griffin will go over what's happened in the rest of the world of baseball this week. That's on the way on a Friday edition of GCR.
Discover luxury without limits at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. This April, unlock a world of high fashion delights and exclusive style. Earn entries daily starting April 1st and join our drawing on Friday, April 25th. 19 will win up to $2,000 in cash and free play. And one grand prize winner will take home a curated Versace homeware collection. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. Learn more at DriveEasyMD.com.
What makes the Costas Inn so special? This is Stan the Fan telling you that it's the people that work for you, cooking and serving. But that menu is also special with a capital S. Soups, salads, the raw bar, pasta dishes, seafood specialties, and entrees like the Costas Combo, steaks, chops, ribs, amazingly delicious meatloaf, and all manner of delicious spilling sandwiches, including pit beef and turkey and subs. Of course, the steamed crabs are as good as you can get anywhere, and they serve them 12 months a year. The crab cakes are out of this world. Costas is open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner at 4100 North Point Boulevard, and coming soon, very soon, Costas in Timonium at the OTB Parlor at Timonium Racecourse. We'll get you the opening date real soon.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Want to improve your golf game or learn to play for the first time? The Baltimore Golf Academy has fun, instructional programs for the beginner golfer to everyday players. The Baltimore Golf Academy can take your game to the next level. Enroll today at baltimoregolfacademy.com.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
All right, back in here on GCRs, continue along on a Friday edition of the program. Thanks again to Mike Tirico for taking the time for us. Today's show also brought to you by County Sports Zone. CountySports.zone is the website for you to find out everything related to high school sports here in the state of Maryland. Tonight, everything. Tonight's the MIAA Lacrosse Championships over at, I guess. It's actually supposed to storm tonight, right? It's not just supposed to be rain. I think there's actually...
because I did actually check the weather after you asked me. They
weird.
are calling
because right now,
they actually could play baseball.
All good, right?
I think we're good.
Everything will be fine.
It looks like they are calling for storms again around about 6 o'clock.
Don't love that.
Yeah.
Don't love it.
Clear the rest of the afternoon. 55% chance of storms at 5. Then 35% at 6 and 7 p.m. Other than it looks like the storms might be out of the area.
So they could get the game in. The baseball game could just start maybe a little bit late.
Yeah.
Then what about the lacrosse would be a problem because there's supposed to be a 5 o'clock game then a 7:30 game.
Well, I mean, they got it's Friday night, so
that's true. We got nowhere to be. Yeah,
play,
just
have the
stay till 10:30 or whatever.
Yeah, probably more like 11:30.
Oh, I mean, like to start the game.
Oh, to start the game. Okay, then yeah.
Yeah.
All night, late night lacrosse. You know.
Not ideal, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. Anyway, the MIA A conference and B conference title games are tonight. If you want to find out more about those title games, go to countysports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com.
Just thought I'd mention yesterday.
Yes.
My wife posted. We had. Do you know the name of the event at Timonium?
The Fassig Tipton.
The Fassig Tipton.
Yeah.
But I wanted to show my wife the progress made at the Costas Inn, and they were set up not inside the restaurant, but they were set up to feed people that were coming for that, prospective horse buyers.
Okay.
And my wife and I had a crab cake and a shrimp salad sandwich.
Ooh,
there.
I like that.
So we're getting close.
Getting close. Yeah. Getting close to being able to.
And I'm sure we'll be open today and tomorrow. They'll be serving food.
They're serving food, but it's not.
It's not the restaurant.
Exactly right. But you can go over and get a Costas Inn crab cake, and that sounds like a pretty good way to spend a Friday.
Salad, hamburger.
Love everything about that. All right, if it's Friday, it's time for us to catch up on what else has been going on in baseball this week.
In the rest of baseball.
Sounds a lot like that. Yeah, right? Why?
This week
in the rest of
baseball.
All right.
Lots going on in the rest of baseball this week. I had no shortage of topics to talk about.
How are the Orioles doing?
We're not talking about them.
We talk about them throughout the week. We don't need more Orioles.
I guess obviously the biggest one. We'll dive right into Pete Rose getting reinstated, or the reinstatements of these
dead?
deceased players.
Yeah.
He is
still dead.
They did not reinstate him to life. No,
Okay.
not the way that it worked.
About that.
So Stan, should he be in the Hall of Fame?
Should he be in the Hall of Fame? I've always felt that Pete Rose was going to go into the Hall of Fame as a baseball player, not as a baseball manager.
Nah.
If you have any evidence that Pete Rose bet on baseball when he played baseball, I would say no, but saving that you don't know whether he bet on baseball as a player, I would say he belongs in the Hall of Fame.
So part of the problem is we don't know, and a lot of people brought that up. Like in his deal with the commissioner to accept the lifetime ban, the agreement was that they were not – what the information they had would never become public.
Right.
And so that's been one thing that people have suggested this week is let's open that up.
Yep.
You want to talk about Pete Rose? Open up, unseal the envelope.
Yep.
And let's find out if baseball knew
Pull the curtain back.
that he was betting on games as a player, maybe betting against his team. Let's find out what baseball knew when he decided to accept that, and then let's react appropriately to that.
Yeah.
I've said it a couple times. I don't think it's going to happen. I think that it's a little bit naked in that it seems as though this is just the commissioner of baseball trying to appease the president of the United States, who, for whatever reason, because, logic, has decided that he cares deeply about this. And remember, you've got an antitrust exemption. And so, here, fine, we'll reinstate Pete Rose. This still requires the Hall of Famers themselves saying, we're okay with this. And at this point,
well, does it really? It's really up to the baseball writers.
But the writers won't be the ones that end up seeing this ballot.
Oh, that's right. He is not. Yeah,
he's not
for that.
He's not going on to that ballot. And I don't know who will be making up this group. It's normally a combination of Hall of Famers but these groups have typically defaulted to the desires of the Hall of Famers, right? Like they had the opportunity to look at Barry Bonds last time. The Hall of Famers have said we don't want Barry Bonds in. And so they kind of went along with it and said, okay, we won't put him in. I don't see this group, unless the Hall of Famers come together and say, we've changed our minds about Pete Rose, I don't see this group. They do care deeply about, like, we don't want to have a weekend where, like, the Hall of Famers refuse to show up to the induction ceremony or boycott it or anything like that. So that part will be interesting. To be fair, a lot of the current Hall of Famers are also Donald Trump fans. And maybe they'll say, all right, he wants this, so we'll want it too. I don't know. But as of right now,
one that won, Johnny Bench, won't be in favor.
I think that he won't be the only one.
Now, Mike Schmidt apparently is okay with it.
The bigger issue is it also requires a conversation about the fact that Pete Rose acknowledged that he's a statutory rapist. And we're just kind of not talking. What the Reds did the other night was so effing embarrassing. You don't have to do this stuff.
So the Reds had they just did a Pete Rose night?
They had, like, number 14 shirts hanging up, and, like, it's so gross. No one is requiring this. It's okay to just say nothing. It's okay to make a statement like this. Well, we'll see, that Pete Rose was a very good baseball player during his time with the Cincinnati Reds.
Beloved.
It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Something like that says nothing. You don't have to say anything. But the moment you do this, now we got to call you on the carpet for why are you celebrating someone who acknowledged that he committed statutory rape? And whose defense of it was, I thought she was 16. Like, why would you do that? No one's requiring you to. You are not forced.
Hey, he never had a freak off.
Thank you. Great point. Well, that we know of. Maybe he was at Diddy's parties. I don't know.
Wow, yeah.
A lot of people were. I have said before, I've changed my tune on this years ago. I thought it was embarrassing for baseball that Pete Rose wasn't in the Hall of Fame. And, there's still some part of me that's like, it's supposed to be a reflection of who the greatest baseball players of all time were.
Would you be upset if he goes in before Barry Bonds?
Oh, that would be kind of a joke. It's kind of a joke. They were both great baseball players. Barry Bonds, I just think, happens to be the greatest baseball player of an era.
I have no clue what the answer is, obviously.
I really have changed my mind. I would prefer he didn't. I think that it's okay for baseball to continue to uphold the idea of, dude, we don't ever want anyone to bet on the integrity of the game is the single most important thing that we have. And if you bet on baseball, we're just not going to put you in the Hall of Fame, man. Like, that's the way it's going to be. I'll be okay with that. The idea that a lifetime ban ends when your life ends, it actually makes some sense when you say it out loud, right? Like, he was banned for his lifetime. I don't know, whatever. I don't think he's getting in. That's my gut. My gut is he's not getting in.
Definitely not. So it'll be 27?
27
Will be the first year he's eligible?
Yes.
So, yeah,
there are people that think that they will
Why is there a delay of when he's eligible?
Because it's when this committee, like they have different eras for these committees.
Oh, okay, got it.
That
so,
every year they have a different era that
so
the committee
Bonds
looks
and
at.
Clemens be on that one in
I
2 years?
believe.
then?
God.
All right, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm the This Week in Baseball guy.
Sorry.
I should have known.
I don't know.
We'll move on. There was another manager firing over the course of the last week as well. I think, that was last weekend. Bud Black was relieved of his duties in Colorado.
Why? What happened?
They lost 21-0.
What?
Yeah. Back-to-back weeks now with the manager being fired. Will it be 3 straight? Will there be another manager fired before the end of the week?
I don't think so, but man, who knows?
Define the end of the week today.
Before This Week in Baseball. Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. The Red Sox will be facing.
By the way, the Rockies thing is very similar,
Yeah,
right?
we'll dive into
you can say, what was Bud Black supposed to do there? And I'm not
win 8 games instead of 7 through the first 40 games.
I'm not trying to tell you that I think Bud Black is.
If he had lost 14-0, then he probably.
It was 21. That was
well. So I think they waited until
touchdowns.
Sunday's game. I think to fire him. I wonder if they were going to fire him Saturday night, and then they're like, we can't. I mean,
how's the new guy doing so far?
I want to say they haven't won.
He hasn't won a game.
I don't think they've won.
They're not good.
So the Red Sox, so this comes from Sarah Langs, will be the first team in baseball history to face reigning Cy Young Award winners from both leagues in consecutive games. They faced Tarek Skubal on Wednesday night. They are scheduled to face Chris Sale tonight. Wow. Yeah, so that'll be the first time they have to face the back-to-back or face back-to-back Cy Young.
Maybe I'm a little surprised. I mean, I get it for years there was less player movement and there wasn't interleague play, so. But, like, now, given how much player movement there is, right, like, I guess I'm just a little surprised it's never happened.
I guess, should we talk about, being rivalry weekend as well for Major League Baseball? We'll dive into, Red Sox, Braves, obviously.
Rivalry.
Remember,
Tigers, Blue Jays.
Until the 60s, there was only one Cy Young Award winner.
Right, that too.
So, I mean, I guess some of them, like the Orioles, Nationals, they want that to be a rivalry. You got the White Sox, Cubs, Yankees, Mets.
And Dodgers, Angels.
Pirates, Phillies, the Battle of Ohio, Cincinnati, Cleveland. St. Louis, I guess Kansas City, that's always okay.
Look, God bless them for trying to make this a thing. The biggest issue is, like...
A's Giants. Like, why? What's their...
Yeah.
Why would...
Well, the A's don't exist. They exist metaphorically. They don't exist physically. The biggest issue with this is just, I don't know... I don't know if in some of these, in actual places where they share a city, I'm going to guess that Yankees Mets does register a little bit, that White Sox Cubs does register a little bit, but, like, I've never talked to anyone who's a Guardians or Reds fan that's like, yeah, we're fired up about facing each other because we just happen to play in the same state. And that's no matter how deeply everyone from outside of this area wants to make Baltimore, Washington a thing, no one has ever been able to do it. Outsiders have come in and said, boy, if you just put those two markets together, look at how big that market would be. And if we could just market the same way to both of them and make them care about how geographically close they are to each other, then we'd really be cooking with gas. And they've done that eternally, and every time they've attempted it, we've just continued to say the same thing.
Baseball.
Yeah, dog, we don't care. Like, we just don't care. It's like when they try to market the pizza place. Get your Mambo sauce, Baltimore. Like, we don't care about the things they care about. We just don't. The list is like the Capitals have like a small fan base here. The Wizards don't even have a fan base in D.C. Yeah, they don't have a fan base in D.C. The University of Maryland is like the only thing that like is shared between these markets. We bitch about, like, we might go to a concert in D.C. because it's what we have to do in order to see a band that we want to see, but we're unhappy about the fact that we have to do it. Nobody's like, yeah, I'm fired up about driving an hour and a half and sitting through traffic in order to go to my favorite venue in D.C. And we can never make this a thing that anyone here cares about. I do think there's a little more in D.C. because there are still people that were Orioles fans before the Nationals existed. And while they are Nationals fans now, they still have some feelings towards the Orioles. So for a few people in that market, there's something about, like, these are my two favorite teams, but it's a handful of people and it's very one-sided. So
it'll be rivalry weekend. There we go.
I got that email this morning. Check out rivalry weekend.
The best series of the week though was probably that Tigers.
And by the way, there are
Red
real
Sox
rivalries
series.
in baseball. They're just not these. Like, in baseball, teams have rivals.
I mean, everybody can't wait for the Angels.
Yeah, everybody knows that's the big one.
Yeah,
That's the big
going
one.
back to Anna, he's.
I mean, for
years,
years,
they're in LA.
yeah,
Actually,
for years it was Dodgers Giants. It's really Dodgers Padres at this point. Like, that's viable. That's a real thing that really.
We got Rays Marlins. Come on.
Yeah,
That's
everybody
gonna
knows.
That one's gonna get heated.
Everybody knows.
Heated.
They're so geographically close to each other too. Is it? I guess Rangers and Astros are in the same league. Are they playing?
They are playing each other.
Okay.
So their two divisional matchups are Rockies D-backs.
They're both. They're kind of in the same general area.
Astros Rangers are playing.
Okay.
Yes.
What are the Padres? They're technically the Mariners.
Is that who they're playing on rivalry week?
The Mariners Padres are playing each other tonight on Apple TV Plus as well.
Big rivalry showdown between the Padres and Mariners.
Showdown.
What about those Midwest teams? Like, so I guess it's Brewers Twins.
Yes, Brewers Twins.
So then who is it for the Tigers?
Blue Jays.
Oh yeah, I mean actually,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know that geographically.
Yeah, sure. Pirates Phillies. That one's kind of. I guess that one makes sense-ish. Western PA versus Eastern PA.
Sure.
So that series was good. The best thing probably from the week, just like on the baseball field, was that we had so Tarek Skubal was barking at Alex Bregman all game because Bregman destroys Tarek Skubal for some reason. He just swings first pitch every time he faces Tarek Skubal, and he's like, I want to say like 6 for 11 maybe or something like off Tarek Skubal. And so he went 3 for 3 off him the other night, and I have the clip. I might just let Jason Benetti explain it.
Bregman has ambushed him twice. First pitch hits. And I got to tell you, during the break, looked it up. There's a take. Skubal said take one from the dugout. We will show it to you in a second. Skubal told Bregman take one. He did. Now the 0-1 is looped into right center. It's a base hit. Andy, I looked it up in the break. Alex Bregman has 6 hits against Tarek Skubal in his career. Every one of them has been in the first 2 pitches of an at-bat. So Skubal says, hey, buddy, hey, look at me. And then Bregman's like, I'm playing third base. Don't worry about it. And Skubal says, take one. Bregman laughs. Bregman has ambushed him.
Mildly.
You didn't think it was that great?
Yeah, I mean it's.
Anyway, that I think that same, or not that game, but the next night I think was also the 10-9 game where Baez, or maybe that was the night before, where Baez walked off against the Red Sox. It was a great series.
The Baez story is one of the best stories of the season from a baseball perspective.
Yes, Javi Baez, he's batting over 300 again. He's driving in runs. He's obviously hitting in clutch spots, and he's a big reason why the Tigers
the best
are
team in
the
baseball.
best team in baseball. Yeah. So Tigers are continuing to be a lot of fun, as Mike Tirico said. The Red Sox are still competitive. Elsewhere, we now have our second confirmed member of the 2026 USA World Baseball Classic team. Paul Skeens.
Oh, right, yeah, Paul
Skeens. So we got Aaron Judge and Paul Skeens. Trying to say it doesn't matter?
Have they? It's funny because we saw the NFL this week address the Olympics. Has Major League Baseball said anything more about the Olympics since then, or is that we're trying to make that go away?
Well, I mean, I guess it'll depend on. We'll see if Ohtani starts being vocal about it, or Judge starts being vocal about it. I guess while we're talking about fun things, did you see? So Johnny Pareda. So the A's got destroyed by the Dodgers last night. And Johnny Pareda.
I saw a bunch of content about what's
the final in that.
19-2.
Who's got the funky swing for the Athletics that everybody's tweeting about?
I don't know.
Hang on. Jacob Wilson.
Okay, the shortstop.
Jacob Wilson.
That's Jack Wilson's son, I believe.
Is it?
Yeah.
Has this really funky sort of
so he's
stance that he uses.
He's got a lot of movement. Okay, he's been very good. He's been very good as the A's. I mean, the A's have. I don't want to say the A's are very good, but they're 500. That seems like.
Phew. Must be nice.
Yeah. 22-22. So the A's are 500. But in that game last night, Pitching Ninja was doing some stuff with it this morning. It was great, overlaying Johnny Paredes' 60-mile-per-hour slider with his 89-mile-per-hour fastball that he struck out Shohei Ohtani on. He struck out Shohei Ohtani, and then he saved the baseball. He threw it back into the dugout so he could save his strikeout of Shohei Ohtani.
Good for him.
As the Athletics did lose 19-2.
That's exactly what he should do in that.
Yes.
100% what he should do.
He threw like a 40-mile-per-hour pitch too, and he looped it in there, and he started backing. He backed off the mound like slow pitch softball, getting out of the way.
It's pretty good.
It was a lot of fun, despite the A's obviously getting destroyed last night by the Dodgers. And that is the other story, I guess. Ohtani seems to be Ohtani again. I mean, it's not like he ever wasn't Ohtani, but he had somewhat of a slow start for his standards this season.
He had 11 RBIs the other day. I mean,
he
total
had 6
for the
this
season.
series. Yeah. Like he had I want to say
7 home runs and 11 RBIs.
It was something like that, where it was 7 home runs, 14 RBIs. Now he's up to 15 home runs. He hit 2 home runs last night. He's now tied for the league lead with 15 home runs, along with Judge and Schwarber. So it seems like
good,
Ohtani.
Ohtani.
Yeah, it seems like he's completely back, which is good for my fantasy team. By the way, we talked about Kyle Stowers yesterday. He is raking with the Marlins, a 950 OPS. He's got 10 home runs, 29 RBI. Oh, by the way, he's hitting 378 off of lefties. Stowers is playing every day, and he's looking really, really good for the Miami Marlins. D-backs called up Jordan Lawler this week, or recalled Jordan Lawler, I should say. He was the 6th pick of the 21 draft. That was one pick after Colton Cowser. He had a lot of injuries last year, and they're expecting him to be a big part of the D-backs now, but I just thought that was relevant. Jordan Lawler getting called back to the majors.
Also, we continue to watch Corbin Carroll, beat Corbin Carroll again this season.
Yes.
So
maybe one of these days, Adley Rutschman
maybe.
will be Adley
Maybe.
Rutschman.
Final one is Trey Mancini hit a walk-off home run for the Reno Aces AAA team, the D-backs AAA team last weekend.
That's my guy.
So it was pretty epic. He had a walk-off home run in the bottom of the 10th.
Did you see? No. You see what happened with the former Terp last night?
No. Matt Shaw had he had a walk-off, right?
He did something. Well, he had a walk-off. He did something that no major. He's obviously not in the major leagues right now, so it doesn't. No major league player has done this since 2010. He hit both a leadoff and a walk-off home run.
Wow.
In the game. So he opened the game with a home run and closed the game with a home run.
Yeah, but what did he do in between?
Yeah, it sucked. God, he was awful. With the Iowa Cubs, as he was sent back down after making the club to start the season. So
good for Matt Shaw.
Yeah.
Where are they playing? Des Moines?
That's a good question. I would assume.
I want to say yes.
Yeah,
There's some big cathedral in center field, wherever they are.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
It's a little far away, but
it is Des Moines.
You can see, I guess. I don't know what that is.
You ever been to Des Moines?
Other big news.
I don't know. Actually.
I was in Des Moines.
Oh, look at you. Were you for business, for pleasure? What were you?
I hitchhiked out to Nebraska. I hitchhiked out to Nebraska.
Matt Carpenter announced his retirement as well after 14 seasons.
That's it? I thought you were going to follow that up with something.
He played with, name the 3 teams he played for.
That's the problem is I always get Matt Carpenter and Matt Olson confused. Matt Carpenter was a Cardinal.
Struggling this season. He was.
He's the guy who had all of a sudden came back with the Yankees, right?
And who was he there? Who was he with in between?
Maybe the Brewers.
Was not as good. Not the Brewers.
Somebody. Cardinals. Atlanta?
No, not Atlanta.
That's where Matt Olson was. That's the.
Matt Olson is currently in Atlanta. Yes.
Yeah, where is you know.
How do you get them? I guess because
is it a West Coast team?
It was, yeah.
But it's not
Padres.
Oh, okay. Padres. I was gonna say it's not the Athletics because that's again the other Matt.
Yeah. No, not yet.
So many Matts.
Matt Chapman is that?
Yes.
And he is no longer an Athletic either.
Where's he?
Well, he went to Toronto after that.
Yes.
And then he is currently in.
I don't know.
Which player?
Matt Chapman.
Matt Chapman's a Giant.
He's a San Francisco Giant.
Like 190.
Asking me, this is what I'm talking. There's too many Matts.
Or you just don't watch baseball.
I mean, I don't watch a lot of. This is why we can't unbalance the
Olsen
schedule.
and Chapman,
I only know.
Olsen and Chapman used to get me confused.
I'm telling
they were
you.
both because they were at least both in Oakland. Yeah.
When they were with the A's, I would go, which one plays first?
And which one? Yeah. Look, man.
There were 5 walk-offs Wednesday night as well. Wednesday night walk-offs. So that was already the second time this season.
Did Rutschman have one?
No, he didn't.
Really going
Second
in.
time already this season. We had 5 walk-offs on a single day. April 6th, we also had 5 walk-offs. There's only been 6 days in MLB history.
This is why baseball's trying to start that. They want that red zone channel. They want that. They want that action. What was the goofy rule they wanted to? You can bring any batter to face any.
Oh God.
This is what
the
they
golden
want.
bat, the golden arm.
The magic bat.
They
Golden
want.
bat
This is
bat.
why they want this. Is
So-
because they want. They want. Someone like me will never know about this 5 because we don't watch all of the games. That's what they want. They want to force that you're going to see these crazy moments. There could be moments like this any night.
Especially in rivalry nights.
On rivalry weekend, 100%. When
Should
the
they start
Padres are playing the
staggering,
Mariners.
the start of baseball games every night as well? Should they start going from like 6:15, 6:30?
I could see them doing those. Look, at some point in the next couple of years, baseball's going to have the rights. They're going to everything's going to be internal. These regional networks are going to be gone, and baseball's going to take ownership of broadcasts.
Unblackout MLB TV
No.
or are you thinking?
No, I'm saying they're going to do it so they can have a red zone channel. Like they're going to. Their goal is to create a red zone channel. This is how you're going to watch baseball at night. It's the same way you watch football on Sundays.
Big Inning does. They try to. I know what you're saying.
They
I
try
know what you're
to,
saying.
but if
I
there's
like Big Inning for what it's worth.
You do, but like they're going to try to make it a regular viewing thing, and it's not that thing isn't on every night because some night they're showing a baseball game. Some night they are going to attempt once they have the rights, they're going to create a red zone channel, and that's what they want for all of this.
With MLB TV, it is on every night, or at least every night. There's at least 3 games going on. Like last night, there was only 2 night games, but
okay.
But yeah, yeah.
But not everybody has MLB TV.
I get your point.
Most
Yeah,
people don't.
Like Big Inning, there is not broad appeal at Big Inning. Yes,
yeah,
correct.
That's where they're at. All right, very good. That's this week in the rest of baseball. Of course, also last night, sadness for our friend Griffin.
Yeah.
It's over. It's over. It's over, dog. It's over.
He's not going to be back doing the
Can't-
games.
No,
all right.
No, Capitals gave up a cheapie there at the end. You know what's really crazy?
You could smell that the entire game.
Did you really watch?
Yes,
Okay.
I watched the
All right.
Capitals last night. Yeah. Because
Well, they overturned that
there
one,
was no
the-
Oriole game, and
Yeah.
there was no basketball game early, so I got involved in the hockey game, and they outplayed them, but they really didn't get dangerous shots off. The quality of their shots was not, it wasn't like the goalie for Carolina played like out of his mind.
Stood
or
on his
anything
head.
like that. They never really got good shots off, and you just smelled the whole game. You go, they're just going to score like at the last minute.
It's basically what happened. Like 2 minutes left. Carolina scores the winner. They win that series 4-1. They're on to the Eastern
Extremely
Conference
deflating
Finals.
when they had an offsides called and had a goal disallowed in the second period. So that was killer.
Let me ask you
That
a
was
question. What's the rule on how long? In other words, there was 19 seconds from the.
Yeah. So with hockey, they
they allow that.
Yes,
Obviously,
they
allow
do.
that.
They do. Like they prioritize getting the call right. There's in other sports where you're trying to kind of protect the referee, protect the umpire in baseball. What they called on the field, we're just going to stick with that.
Clearly was an
with
offside.
hockey. Yeah, with hockey, they allow themselves the wiggle room to go back. I mean, I'm sure if the Caps don't score on that possession, then they're not going to review it. I don't think,
Right,
and
of
they'll
course
just keep
not.
playing on. But yeah, with hockey, it's very much it's the least amount of.
And was that a challenge by the Canes?
Carolina, yeah.
that was-
Carolina
kudos
had
to
to
them
had to ask for it, and and
Kudos
they
to them for
they go back 20 seconds. They add 20 seconds back onto the clock, but they take away the goal, and
You could smell when that happened that it was not going to be good.
We will get a Game 7 in the NBA, at least one. I guess there could still be a Celtics-Knicks Game 7 as well. Sunday afternoon.
Are they playing tonight?
They're playing tonight, Game 6.
That's Game 6.
Game 6.
How did they fall behind?
Who? The Celtics?
The
Knicks are just better.
The amount of
the amount of games? Well, Game 6 of the other series was last night, so it's not really behind necessarily.
Okay.
The weird part is that they're doing Game 7 on Sunday afternoon. Like, that's bizarre. Of doing it Sunday afternoon instead of Sunday night. Now,
really?
Apparently, it's because exactly right. Apparently, it's
I wanted
because
to watch.
ABC has the rights. So you got plans on Sunday?
Yeah, I play baseball on Sundays.
Too bad.
I don't watch baseball.
But the real issue for me, I got the kids. It's Little League Day at the Orioles game, so I'm working a lacrosse game in the morning.
3:30.
Yeah, I'm working a lacrosse game in the morning. Then I have to race to. I'm gonna miss the parade, but they also get to run the bases after the game, so I'm gonna race down to the baseball game to see them run the bases. So I'm gonna miss.
It's gonna be a 4.5 hour.
Yeah,
100%. I'm gonna miss all of Maryland Georgetown, which is at 2:30 on Sunday afternoon, and then I'm gonna miss most of Game 7 of that series. Apparently, ABC and ESPN have the rights to it, and so that's the reason why they're doing it 3:30. And I guess American Idol is so scary important that they won't just bump it on Sunday night. I know you love American Idol. I know that's your world.
Do they get that much more?
Let me ask
viewership
you,
with it being on
because
ABC?
you follow everything broadcast-wise. Have we seen the last of the Ernie Johnson?
No, they'll still be on through the Western Conference final, or one of the conference, whichever conference final TNT has.
Okay.
They'll still be on through that, and then
I think they have the East. I think
Eastern Conference. Okay.
I saw Charles talking about.
I mean, but after this season,
well, they're going to still. The show is still going to exist and air on ESPN.
Oh, it will.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Charles Barkley has been super skeptical about. He's been very cryptic about this. They signed a deal.
Right.
They're going to do Inside the NBA from Atlanta, produced by Turner.
Okay, but
and
it'll air.
They're licensing it.
Yes, they're licensing it the same way that Turner licensed those 2 college football playoff games, but they were ESPN broadcasts.
Gotcha.
So I don't remember which games, the first 2 games of the college football playoff.
Good for ESPN at least to broach that.
Barkley is very concerned that they're going to attempt to ESPNify the show.
Right.
Now we want you to have Stephen A. Smith, the stuff that they have no interest in doing.
Right.
And, ESPN's NBA coverage is an abomination.
It would be funny if Kendrick Perkins joined later.
The shoulder programming. The actual games are totally fine. Mike Breen and Doris Burke. And I actually thought that Legler and Dave Pash were a pretty good broadcast crew. It's the first time that they've worked together. But Richard Jefferson's been very good with that crew. But the shoulder programming is a nightmare. When they cut back to the studio and it's just Brian Windhorse, that's who their analyst is a reporter.
Man, what's wrong with Windy?
You're like, dude, what are you even trying? When you put together an entire
what's the girl's name? Malika
Andrews. She's very good. She's very good. But they'll cut to the back to the studio. But now let's go back to the studio crew, and there's no one on the entire plate that ever played a game in the NBA.
Right.
It's Michael Wilbon, Stephen A. Smith. Who is the GM? Who is the GM of the Warriors? That does Bob Myers? It's a bunch of people. Yeah. None of them have ever played a game in the NBA, and that's their crew for the NBA playoffs.
Now, who's the heavyset guy? Kendrick
Perkins.
Yeah.
Yes,
Perkins.
He's the one former player that.
He's too droll, but he's okay.
And then they try to force him to do bits.
Yeah.
It's just bad. But yes, they're going
that's
to.
Why it'd be funny if they did force him on to, because Shaq and
I
Charles him all the time.
I got very sad. I've watched that show for years.
That and College Game Day are the 2 greatest sports television programs that have ever existed.
And Ernie Johnson. Have you ever had Ernie on one of your shows?
He's just the sweetest person. Yeah. He's such a nice gentleman.
Because he'll call.
Kind of like me.
Right?
Used to. I don't think he still does it.
Because they don't have TV yet.
Yeah, that's what everybody's always said about you. Whenever I've been like, I'm at Press Box, they're like, that Stan the Fan is just a sweetheart. Yeah, just one of the best people. So, Game 7, back in Oklahoma City.
I want to know who said that.
And for stupid reasons is Sunday at 3:30. And I don't know if that's because they're hoping that this series will end. It's the sense I get is that they're hoping that the Eastern Conference series ends tonight, and then they can start the Eastern Conference Finals on Sunday night. That's the sense that I've gotten. So we'll see. We'll see. That's all I can say.
See what we shall see.
We'll see. And I guess, although I think they said that if there was a Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals, that would be on Monday night. I take that back. I think they said that already. So I got nothing. I got nothing on what they're doing there.
What are the games tomorrow in lacrosse?
The 2 games on Long Island are Princeton, Syracuse is the big one, right? Like that one's really good. And then the first one is.
Who am I supposed to root for in that one?
I don't think it matters. Don't root for anybody. It's the first game tomorrow. The first game is.
As a Towson fan.
Oh, that's got to be the Cornell game. Cornell Richmond is the first game tomorrow, and then Princeton Syracuse is the second one, and then Notre Dame Penn State is the first game on Sunday in Annapolis, and then
pretty good game.
Georgetown, Maryland.
And where are the finals this year?
Foxborough.
Foxborough,
yes. It's funny, like Mike brought up the idea of moving Preakness to Memorial Day weekend, and I talked about this last week. Like, Baltimore has been completely out of the picture of hosting the lacrosse tournament. The Ravens got so disenfranchised by the Orioles' unwillingness to work with them that they just said,
"Yeah, I would imagine that would change now."
I would hope that David Rubenstein and the Ravens would work to. It's not. We can't do it every year.
Yeah.
We're not going to give up Memorial Day weekend every year, but
every 3 or 4 years, yeah.
Can we work on that to make sure that Baltimore gets back into the mix? And then the question becomes, do you want to have Preakness running the same weekend as you're potentially hosting the lacrosse championships? And we can joke that lacrosse championships are only like 35,000, 40,000 people, but it does take up infrastructure.
I think the simple thing is the first Saturday in May, June, and July.
I think that's the correct answer as well. We come back in. Eno Sarris will join us. He's written a little bit about some of the.
Is he okay with coming on with me?
Oh yeah, there's no. Well, we'll find out, I guess. We'll talk to him about the Orioles mess. Let's continue along a Friday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. Feeling sluggish, unfocused, or not like yourself? It could be low testosterone. At Game Day Men's Health, we specialize in testosterone replacement therapy to help men boost energy, improve mood, and regain confidence. Our treatments, including testosterone cypionate, are safe, natural, and tailored to fit your lifestyle with weekly injections or pellet therapy. Get started today with a free testosterone test and feel the difference. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Game Day Men's Health, where men reclaim their game.
What makes the Costas Inn so special? This is Stan the Fan telling you that it's the people that work for you, cooking and serving. But that menu is also special with a capital S. Soups, salads, the raw bar, pasta dishes, seafood specialties, and entrees like the Costas Combo, steaks, chops, ribs, amazingly delicious meatloaf, and all manner of delicious spilling sandwiches, including pit beef and turkey and subs. Of course, the steamed crabs are as good as you can get anywhere, and they serve them 12 months a year. The crab cakes are out of this world. Costas is open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner at 4100 North Point Boulevard, and coming soon, very soon, Costas in Timonium at the OTB Parlor at Timonium Racecourse. We'll get you the opening date real soon.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now, and on the cover, Luke Jackson looks at the long road back from Tommy John surgery for Orioles closer Felix Bautista, as well as Kyle Bradish and Tyler Wells. Also inside, we learn more about new Maryland basketball coach Buzz Williams from the players who have played for him at other stops. Plus, evaluators around baseball chime in on Orioles top prospect Samuel Basayo. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Need a trophy or award that's as unique as the achievement? Look no further than Crown Trophy. With locations in Owings Mills and Gaithersburg, they specialize in custom trophies, plaques, and medals for any occasion. From sports and academic awards to employee recognition and corporate gifts, visit crowntrophy.com today and let them help you create a lasting memory for your school, team, or business. Crown Trophy is a proud supporter of the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association. crowntrophy.com.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
Here on GCR as we continue along on a Friday edition of the program. Stan, you guys are back in action on Monday?
Yes, we are.
Stan the Fan, Ross Grimsley, Luke Jackson, talking baseball with you every Monday, trying to solve the problems. We'll see. You can find it at facebook.com/PressBoxSports. If you miss it live, you can go to youtube.com/PressBoxOnline or PressBoxOnline.com/video. As always, Stan's shows are brought to you by the Costas Inn as we get closer and closer to the brand new Costas Inn in Timonium. Looking forward to that. Got big plans for the weekend, Stan?
No.
No?
No big plans.
You going to go to the baseball games?
Not sure. Because tonight is, weather situation. Yeah. Is tomorrow supposed to be a weather?
There is definitely weather in the forecast tomorrow.
So,
not great for Preakness.
Yeah. So I may not.
I saw hail. Yeah.
Ed Hale?
Yeah, not Ed Hale. He's doing other things right now. Maybe he'll be at Preakness.
Didn't he have a book, Hailstorm?
Is that what his book is called?
Kevin Coward?
I don't remember what his book was called. But, yeah, I remember Kevin Coward writing a book with him. I saw it looked nasty tomorrow.
Yeah, so I may not make it to any of these 3 games.
I understand that decision. Now, it's really funny I say that. Now I'm looking at the weather for tomorrow, and there's none of that.
Yeah, I thought I had checked yesterday.
ABC2. I was watching this morning.
Oh, well,
they were
ABC2.
talking. That's a great point. They were talking about there potentially being hail in the forecast. Now I'm seeing nothing for tomorrow. Okay. So maybe tomorrow will be totally fine.
Okay.
I'm more worried about Sunday because Sunday. This is when you start getting to the time of the year where it's so hot for these Sunday afternoon games that you're like, I don't want to be here.
Right.
I have
Tomorrow's supposed to be like 90 degrees or something.
Is it really? I see 85.
I see 87.
Okay, all right.
So maybe it won't.
I see 90.
I would like to see better baseball is what I would like to see. Eno Sarris from The Athletic recently wrote about why the pitching actually might be worse than you think that it is for the Baltimore Orioles. He went over some of the early season numbers that would be cause for alarm, and he is with us now here on GCR. Eno, it's Glenn and Stan here in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you as always. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
No problem. And I hope it's 85.
Yeah, I hope so too. I just hope that there's something worth watching, and that's been a bit of an issue.
Is there some metric that shows that 85 is a good temperature
it brings out
for
the
Orioles?
No, unfortunately, there's no metric that speaks well of this starting rotation right now.
It's funny to think that like somehow it could be worse than we think that it is, but maybe it's actually worse than we think that it is.
I mean, the key is this a temporary problem that is due to injury and Eflin and Rodriguez being out, or is this a long-term systematic problem that needs a real refocus in the front office?
Well, you're Sarris.
Well, I'm leaning towards there's a real problem here, and here's why. So, the market loves stuff, and I have a metric called Stuff Plus that looks at velocity and shape of pitches and everything. That's what the market goes after. That's what the market pays for. That's why Corbin Burns got the big bucks.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, the Orioles don't have stuff. They're in the bottom 5 of the big leagues and stuff. They're in the bottom 5 of the big leagues of fastball velocity in the rotation. They're the last team in baseball in wins above replacement from the rotation. And, I think maybe to some degree they were like, oh, well, we're going to pivot. We're going to get guys that have big arsenals and command. Think of Sagano, right?
Yep.
He doesn't throw hard, but he has a bunch of pitches and he has command. It's worked a little bit with Sagano, and I think it's a good idea for, filling the back end. But unfortunately, when you see these young guys come up, they seem to be doing the same thing. I haven't seen a young guy come up that has a great fastball. And so you're wondering what's happening when it comes to scouting and development and player acquisition. Because Grayson Rodriguez is like the only pitcher that they've had that has good stuff, and he's been hurt all the time. So I don't know if it's like a values thing or if they're just doing what they can with what they've got. But I don't think that Grayson coming back fixes everything.
Let me just ask you one question about the organizational philosophy. It's clear, and I don't disagree that when the Orioles had these number 1 picks and high picks, that they opted not to take pitchers with those picks. But is there another team in baseball that you can look at that puts so little effort into finding pitchers in the draft in those couple years when Mike, they didn't take pitchers in the 4th round or the 5th round or the 6th round. I mean, it was like almost like, hey, we know what we're doing. We're going to get the pitching somewhere else. And they just never really were able to find it, enough of it.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. This has something to do with how I play fantasy baseball, which is funny. So in fantasy baseball, I think, I can always find pitching. I'm really good at this. This is my expertise. I can find pitching. And so sometimes I don't pick a pitcher for the first 5, 6, 7 rounds. And I think I'm going to be fine. I'll find my pitching. And then I'll look up at the end of the year and I have a mediocre pitching staff. I did find some pitching, but I didn't put a good enough stuff in. I made a strength a weakness by, not by thinking, I can find that. I'll be able to I think they thought we'll develop it. We'll create a pitching development machine and we'll develop these pitchers, and we don't have to necessarily, but you have to actually put, this is a gross way to say it, but you have to put good meat into the grinder. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like you can't make a great sausage out of really terrible meat.
We're seeing that very up close and personal. I get, I think the concerning part, like what you said in your piece of The Athletic, is what really concerns me. Which, this is bad at the moment, but as you said, it might not be something they can fix anytime soon either. And that's as disappointing as this start for the Orioles is. I think that the follow-up question is, where are they in their window? It's bad that they're not winning right now, but they also haven't extended any players, and how bad really is this, and what does it require to fix this long term?
I think, the question is how long will it take to turn it around? And I could look silly if Grayson comes up and Eflin keeps going and they have a good 1-2 and the offense kind of finds itself and then they look great in the second half. That's totally still possible. But if you look at the rotation, they lose a lot of these guys, and next year it's just Grayson and Cade basically at the top of the rotation. You know what I mean? It's not like they're set in the rotation long term. So, I think it just takes some sort of recalibration of the strategy. Either they're going to buy pitching on the market, which they haven't done yet, in a sort of a big way. And before you say I don't know about that, pitchers break, it really worked for the Nationals. The Scherzer, Strasburg, Corbin. Yes, there were some bad years at the back end of that, but they won it all. Mm-hmm. So there's either that where they can go buy it in free agency, or maybe they gotta use their first pick on a college pitcher like a Skeens that might just be in the big leagues really quickly. And so those are two ways that they could turn it around fairly quickly. But I think they also need to look at themselves in terms of what they value in player development, and if there are some better processes they can do at the minor league level, because that's part of it too.
I know you were brought on to talk about your article about the pitching, but the player that Glenn and I clearly have identified as the most problematic with the Orioles from, say, June 15th last year till now is Adley Rutschman. Mm-hmm. Can you find a comp anywhere, that has a player that was so highly regarded that fell to what he's done for now about 120, 130 games, that then rebounded and suddenly was back to being really good again?
Well, I mean, I have a bad comp, and nobody wants to hear about Matt Wieters. Sorry.
Thanks.
Sorry about that. No, I thought last year that it was due to injury, right? You circled that date. That was the date he was hurt. And maybe there's still some aspect of that. There's also, a slightly passive approach where he's letting the ball travel, and it hasn't led to great power numbers. But the way that I'm thinking about Adley Rutschman is sometimes we focus too hard on what they can't do, and you have to remember switch hitting catcher who is actually still decent at the plate if he's not a star at the plate. And he's a good receiver and a good framer. So, like, he's a good player. And so I don't want to put everything on his shoulders. I think, there's still a chance he gets back to that premium upside, but even if this is the player he is, it's not that bad. Like, there's a lot of teams that would like to have a catcher as bad as Adley Rutschman. You know what I'm saying? So, sometimes you got to focus on the good things they do.
How bad a miss was drafting him over Bobby Witt?
Well,
I mean, you're talking about a whole.
You can play this game, in every draft. It's tough.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess.
But there with the, with the bloodlines and, he would play shortstop, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and would you have drafted Gunnar Henderson after him and the whole thing?
I still think they would have, yeah.
Like, we can have the. I guess the interesting part to me, and Eno Sarris is with us here in GCR. I hear what you're saying, but, like, he's at the moment he's hitting sub 200, right? And is that because you believe that the peripheral numbers do suggest that he's not actually as bad as the numbers suggest he is? Because I hear what you're saying, but I guess my retort would be at some point if he hits like this and he's not throwing anybody, his throws aren't even competitive right now. Like I don't know that I agree that teams would take this version of Adley Rutschman, right? Like, this version has been just kind of awful, but again, you can look in and see some of those peripheral numbers and I particularly expected batting average, expected on base percentage, and say there is an amount of bad luck involved. Do you believe that that's still a bigger part of the story with Adley Rutschman?
Yeah. I mean, I think he has a good plate approach. He makes good contact in terms of strikeout rate. So, like, in terms of controlling the plate, walks and strikeouts, he's still got something going there. I think he needs to kind of go get the ball. I think he lets the ball travel a little bit too much. And if he goes and gets the ball, maybe his strikeout rate goes up a little bit, but maybe he also hits for power. And I think you basically have to hit for power in this league. So, I think he needs to work on the power hitting. If that comes back, then the batting, I think a lot of that other stuff comes back. So I'm not saying he's not lost at the plate, but I still see the fundamental building blocks there of a good player.
One of the things as the Orioles have suffered through the start of the season is we've been reminded that, like, hey, the Tigers were a mess into the second half last year. And, of course, we all talk about the Nationals being 19-31, and, like, all of those things are true. We know that. But at what point is it no longer a question of, like, can they be the Orioles again? At what point, if it stays like this, is this just the story of who they are, and they then have to start making decisions kind of based around that moving towards July?
Yeah, I mean, the vultures are circling. I've already seen some headlines about Cedric Mullins. Who's going to trade for Cedric Mullins? And you're like, oh boy. I will say that over at Fangraphs, the projections for the full year record for the Orioles is 81-81. So that's factoring what they think. The team is really at their true talent going forward. So I don't think it's going to be a great year for them. But what I do want them to identify is how good they think this offense is when everybody's healthy and it's right. Do they need to pay attention to the offense, or can the offseason be almost solely devoted to the pitching staff? Because if the offense does get right and it's just a team that slugs and just doesn't have enough pitching, then I actually have a little bit of hope for them, because there's a certain amount of pitching available, every year in the off season. I think Sandy Alcantara, I think he would be better in the future. And, I think the Trevor Rogers trade was a terrible one, but Sandy Alcantara has real stuff. And that's somebody that you could look in to trade for. So there's stuff you can do for pitching in the off season, but if they have to fix pitching and hitting, then it's a harder road to hoe.
I got to ask you a question about Sagano. I know you're guarded on whether this is sustainable, but if you were the Orioles and given the price of pitching, what do you think it would cost to extend him 2 years? Would it be $30 million? Would it be $27.5? What do you think it would cost? And do you think that would be worth it to just solidify?
Yeah, I mean,
solidify like the 3-4 spot in the rotation.
Yeah, that's like I said, I do want them to do something more at the top of the rotation. I do want them to, get some better stuff. But Sugano, at that price, I'm in. If it's 2 for $30, I he has enough pitches. He has command. That splitter is good. Like, if they can extend him, I would do that because you gotta say, okay, we have Grayson, we have Sugano, we have Povich, and then let's go get a number one. Let's go actually get a really good pitcher and push all of them down a spot, and then the rotation looks better.
Yeah.
What can we plug for you, sir?
I've got a piece up right now about Juan Soto's missing bat speed. And I've got a daily podcast over Rates and Barrels. We've got Jed Lowry and Trevor May, former players, helping us break down baseball on a daily basis, and it's free and wherever you see podcasts.
At Eno Sarris as well is how you can follow him on Twitter. Always appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning, man. We really enjoyed it.
The athletic.
Yep. Absolutely.
Thanks for having me.
Love you, Thank you.
Eno Sarris with us here on GCR, and certainly, it's funny because basically everyone that I've spoken to has suggested they're not as concerned about Adley Rutschman as maybe we are internally.
Right.
And some of that is...
I think some of it is we've seen it.
We're watching it every day.
We're
watching it every day, and as I keep saying, I wouldn't even be as down if it still looked like he was playing a high level of catcher.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look like he's doing anything at a high level.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. It is very difficult. There is no question about that. It is tough to watch. All right. We got one more segment to go. When we come back in, we will get a tidbit. We will get tubular, and we will start winding things down for a Friday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. Yeah.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. There, you just saved money with Easy Pass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your Easy Pass at DriveEasyMD.com.
Baltimore's Classic 5 golf courses make golf fun and affordable. All 5 local courses, Pine Ridge, Mount Pleasant, Forest Park, Carroll Park, and Clifton Park, are challenging and fun for players of all skill levels. Book your tee time today at classic5golf.com.
Discover luxury without limits at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. This April, unlock a world of high-fashion delights and exclusive style. Earn entries daily starting April 1st and join our drawing on Friday, April 25th. 19 will win up to $2,000 in cash and free play. And one grand prize winner will take home a curated Versace homeware collection. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Feeling sluggish, unfocused, or not like yourself? It could be low testosterone. At Game Day Men's Health, we specialize in testosterone replacement therapy to help men boost energy, improve mood, and regain confidence. Our treatments, including testosterone cypionate, are safe, natural, and tailored to fit your lifestyle with weekly injections or pellet therapy. Get started today with a free testosterone test and feel the difference. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Game Day Men's Health, where men reclaim their game.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now, and on the cover, Luke Jackson looks at the long road back from Tommy John surgery for Orioles closer Felix Bautista, as well as Kyle Bradish and Tyler Wells. Also inside, we learn more about new Maryland basketball coach Buzz Williams from the players who have played for him at other stops. Plus, evaluators around baseball chime in on Orioles' top prospect Samuel Basayo. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com. where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy. when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, back in here as we are winding down for a Friday edition of the program. If you don't have plans yet for the Preakness tomorrow, good news, you've got them now. You're hanging out with Griffin and I at Sports and Social inside Live Casino and Hotel. We're doing a Best Dressed contest. We're going to be giving you a chance to win some free drinks if you can pick the winner of the race ahead of time. We'll be giving away some baseball tickets. Just going to be a very festive atmosphere. Our party kicks off at 5:30. At Sports and Social inside Live Casino and Hotel. Come join us tomorrow to watch the run for the Black-Eyed Susans. Look forward to seeing you there. Winding down for a Friday edition of the program, I've been surprised that you haven't pulled up like an AOL News headline at some point during the course of the morning and just. No, I mean, I normally that's the content that I expect. Is that at some point you're going to tell me about like a 8,000-year-old baby that was discovered or something like that?
Justin Bieber breaks his silence on whether he was among Diddy's victims.
Oh no!
What did he say?
Oh no! It's a hell of a headline too, right? Like it could really go either way, right? Like kind of hard to be anything other than one or like. Imagine if his answer was, "I don't know." Like it's gonna be tough.
This $8 Trader Joe's find is.
Nah, you lost me already on that one.
My new favorite
no.
dinner short.
Well, you're not a Trader Joe's guy?
Trader Joe's is fine, but that's just native advertising. That's all that is. That's not an actual interesting
what is it?
post.
It's part of it's the way of life.
Yeah, this is not me going war on Trader Joe's. It's saying that's a bad headline because it's just native advertising. Like the Trader Joe's just paid them to put that out there as content.
You want me to go AOL?
Selma Hayek.
58.
Yes.
She looks quite good.
In new photos.
Well, she's in the SI swimsuit issue.
She's on the cover.
Yeah, there's like.
Yeah, you should have called me the other night. He's like, guess
all,
what?
They're like all covers. Like the SI swimsuit issue isn't what it was when, I was a young man and this is not about. It taught me things about myself.
She was raped and stabbed at 15. Now, 43 years later, her killer is finally behind bars.
But that's not about Selma Hayek.
Good.
Yeah, that sounds. I'm glad we got him.
Common energy.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Common energy drink ingredient linked to blood cancer.
Uh-oh. That's time for me to stop then, I guess.
Men with ED say this new pill with tadalafil.
I don't have to worry about that.
I'm
on peptide treatment now. I'm good. Not going to have to worry about that.
Stars divorce settled details.
Uh-oh.
Nothing really.
Let's say we're
down week is what you're saying. Down week on AOL News. They're not even trying.
Here's a good headline.
Okay.
Inmates' last words before execution. President Trump, keep making America great.
There you go. Getting the stuff that matters.
Wonder why he
I don't know if you heard. The president doesn't think Taylor Swift is hot anymore. So that's a thing that we've got for us now. Is we now know how the president feels.
How did that
about
come up? I'm curious.
So am I, Griffin. I'm also curious as to how a lot of these things come up.
Who was the golfer he was talking about this week?
I don't know.
Sam
Snead?
Yeah, Sam Snead. He just brought him up in an answer as well.
That.
He didn't. That wasn't real.
No,
that wasn't
real.
Are we sure that wasn't real?
I thought you were saying that he thinks Sam Snead is hot.
No, not Sam.
A lot of people are saying that.
They give you a putt.
Oh, you're talking about the story wasn't real.
Oh,
the story wasn't
but
real.
He did bring it up.
This.
Oh, yeah, he was talking about it with the plane.
Putts. He was talking
with the plane. He was.
Oh, that's right.
That was exactly the context. Was the plane? It's
definitely
not. It's definitely not a bribe. I don't know why you guys think it's a bribe. Like, how could it possibly be a bribe?
Give me putt, Glenn.
It's just correct.
The greatest part of the story is now they've been apparently. Qatar has been trying to
offload the plane to somebody for some time. Right? Nobody would take it. For the record, I just want this to be known. I'll be willing to take it. If anybody in Qatar
couldn't afford the upkeep.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that I couldn't find somebody that'd be willing to go in on it. Halvesies with me. Like halvesies on the upkeep.
You work for Pressbox.
If you want
exactly.
If you've got a $40 million plane lying around that you don't know what to do with, just talk to your pal. All right. I'm open to bribes. I would prefer to be bribed. Please bribe me. I'm available.
New restaurant opening in Towson, 2 a.m. 2 a.m. That's what it's called.
What is it? Open at 2 a.m.
It's open until
until 2 a.m. That's kind of lame.
It's like a late night restaurant.
I was hoping it was where you were supposed to go after the bars closed. That was the bit.
Well, I mean, I think. Well, yeah, I guess you're right.
They don't spend money. We don't.
Sometimes they close at 1.
Have we mentioned? I don't know because I'm not here every day. Did you mention Josh's new show?
Yeah, very excited about it's not called. The British show is Doc Martin.
Right.
It's going to be called
Best Medicine.
Best Medicine when it airs on Fox. Love that. Yeah, I talked to him a little bit over the weekend. Very excited for Josh. That is awesome. Although it might cut down his availability to be part of the Project Game Day postgame show, and then it becomes problematic.
So. I'm pretty sure
for
Sundays
me.
are sacred for him.
I don't
aren't
think.
they?
I'm pretty
I don't
sure.
I don't think they do.
I always have to think about what this means for me, Stan.
Of course.
Like
And
that's
what
the
part
important
of the country
part.
or what part of the world, I guess I should say.
Well, what was he filming in Canada?
Well,
in the fall?
wasn't he in
Handmaid's Tale.
Handmaid's Tale, was that what it was?
in
Yeah, that was
Toronto.
filming in Toronto. And he was always like, oh, man, I don't know. I'm at a pub. And then he would just hop in. He'd be in the backseat of the Uber. Just like, hey, man, I'm here for the show. Love you, buddy. Love you. I'm happy for you, pal. You know that. All right, let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you today by the print issue of Pressbox. Still time to go get this on the cover. Luke Jackson dives into the hard road back for Felix Bautista, Kyle Bradish, and Tyler Wells from Tommy John surgery, major elbow surgery. Go pick that up today wherever you find Pressbox. You can read it all at PressBoxOnline.com.
The one thing I didn't get to in this weekend, the rest of baseball, Bruce Bochy, with one of those wins over the Rockies this week for the Rangers, tied, and then eventually passed. I think yesterday he passed, or whatever their last, I don't know if they played yesterday. He passed, he was tied. So with one of the wins, he tied for 6th place on the all-time managerial wins list. And then eventually passed, so now he is.
But he's still only like barely above 500, right?
Let's see, what is his career?
Like Bruce Bochy is either win the World Series
he's below
or
500.
He's below 500.
499. He's 2,195 and 2,206 is his career record.
He's
so
won
he is
3 World Series.
11.
But that's the story. The story for Bruce.
games
Wait,
below
has he won 4 World Series?
3 with the
That's
Giants.
right.
Yeah.
Texas won
Right.
4. Yeah.
It's either he wins the World Series or he's below 500.
I mean, managed the Padres for
Like
8 or 9 years.
Yep.
So who did he pass, and who are the 5 guys with more wins?
Jim Leyland.
No, Stan.
Connie Mack.
Connie Mack is number 1. 3,700
Walter Alston.
wins for Connie Mack. No.
Joe McCarthy.
No Joe McCarthy.
Joe Torre.
Joe Torre is in the top 5, 5th. That'll be the next
So he's
one.
behind. He's still behind Joe.
He is.
Joe
So he
Torre?
moved into 6th place this week. So I want to know who he passed.
You want to know everybody else that's in the top 7?
Yes.
Tony La Russa.
Tony La Russa is number 2 all time.
Bobby
Only
Cox.
Just under 900 wins behind Connie Mack. Yeah, Bobby Cox is 4th. So we need 3rd and
Tommy Lasorda.
now 7. No Tommy Lasorda. Tommy Lasorda. Jim Leland is 18th, by the way, Stan. Tommy Lasorda is 24th.
Sparky Anderson.
Sparky Anderson is who Bruce Bochy passed
How about
this
that?
week.
So we're looking for number.
We need
3
one
and
more.
4?
No, we
3.
need one more.
Number 3. 3rd most wins all time by a manager, baseball history.
Bobby Cox.
I mean, Dusty Baker.
No, Dusty Baker is 8th. He is just outside our top 7 here.
Casey
Phil
Stengel.
Regan. Phil Regan.
Neither.
Phil Regan. That's your guess.
When did Phil Regan? Who did he manage?
American League or National League?
Well, I imagine he managed multiple teams.
Oh, no, multiple teams.
I mean, I would. Oh yeah, he made his debut with the Baltimore Orioles in 1891.
John McGraw.
And then he managed the New York Giants most of his, pretty much almost all. Oh yes, yeah, John McGraw. Yeah, there you go. You got it.
Well done, sir.
There you go, Stan.
Well done. Look at you.
Like,
Look at you.
they said
I
Stan doesn't know his
I got all of the
1890s
rest of
Baltimore
them, but
Orioles.
Stan then slid right in there.
Well, because once I
and-
brought up the 1890s Orioles,
right, he was like,
went back to his childhood.
He remembers watching John McGraw in 1890.
Watched him on color TV.
Right. He was like, right, that's my guy. Didn't you park cars for John McGraw at one point? Wasn't that the way it worked? Yeah. Let's get Tubular to wrap it up.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
All right, here's what's coming up totally tubular-wise. Nationals Orioles this weekend tonight, scheduled for 7:05. We'll find out. Mackenzie Gore and Cade Povich.
I just checked. It looked like the Storms might be moving up, so maybe.
Okay, all right. Tomorrow, 4:05, Jake Irvin and Kyle Gibson. Tomorrow's game is also on FS1 in the rest of the country. And Sunday, 1:35, Michael Soroka and Zach Eflin. And if you see a man dying in the heat because he's going to be just waiting 3 hours for the kids to run the bases afterwards, it's your pal. Please bring
it won't be as bad.
What a
Sunday,
good father.
Sunday will be
I'm not.
nicer.
Sunday is so complicated. I'm calling a game at USA Lacrosse. I'm calling the National Prep School Championship on Sunday morning. Yeah, big. This was my big break. Finally, it's about time that they recognize this. It's at 11 a.m. So I got to do that.
It's ironic that Josh gets that show during
right,
the week
and then
you
I
get
get.
the
Look at how that worked out. Two old pals reaching there. Then I got to race down to the baseball game.
Get to.
My wife has got to be there for the pregame parade on Sunday. You have to get there before the gates open for the pregame parade to get lined up.
What is
so
it,
my
1:30 on Sunday?
Yeah, my wife will be arriving at the baseball game at like 10:30. If I'm complaining about how long I'm going to be, she will be there from 10:30 to about 6 o'clock on Sunday, and then I'm going to come meet them to watch them run the bases afterwards. Sunday, as I mentioned, Michael Soroka, Zach Eflin, the pitching matchup. Elsewhere, today, Black Eyed Susan Stakes coverage starts at 4:30 on Peacock. Tomorrow, Preakness coverage at 4 o'clock on NBC. The post time is 6:50, and national coverage starts at 2 on CNBC. Local coverage at 1 on WBAL. ESPNU this weekend for the NCAA Lacrosse quarterfinals. Tomorrow, as we mentioned, Cornell Richmond at noon, Princeton Syracuse at 2:30. Sunday from Annapolis, Penn State Notre Dame at noon, Georgetown Maryland at 2:30. PGA Championship continues today on ESPN, tomorrow and Sunday afternoon on CBS. Tonight, Game 6 for the Celtics and Knicks, 8 o'clock on ESPN. Game 6 for the Maple Leafs and Panthers tonight at 8 on TNT and True TV. I guess is there no hockey tomorrow either? Is there just nothing going on?
Tomorrow?
Wow.
I guess everyone's going to be watching the UFC fight.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Sunday, as we talked about, Game 7 for the Nuggets and Thunder, 3:30. Oh, no, there has to be because the Jets won last night, right? So the Jets and Stars have to play another game. Don't they?
Yeah.
When is that? The Jets Stars is tomorrow night, 8 o'clock on ABC.
How come they didn't make Game 7 of the OKC Denver
tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night.
Because I guess they got hockey tomorrow night, and that I don't have these answers, Stan. I wish I did. That's about it for stuff that matters. Everything else you can find at glennclarkradio.com. Yeah, I brought that up. That was in there. That was there.
Preakness is tomorrow, Glenn.
Give me a couple of highlights. No, I don't want to do the whole
season 4 finale of Power Book 3, Raising Caning. So we'll get to find out who Lamar kills in this one.
Is he in another?
I have no idea.
I thought he was just in the one episode.
I assumed that he was, but I have no idea. He was very good in the.
He looked the part.
It seems like everyone in the Ravens can act. Apparently,
Who else?
Schedule release
from the stupid Severance.
Hamilton did great.
What's the deal in this new mini series coming on Max? Duster.
It's by the way, please say it correctly. Use full government name. HBO Max.
HBO
Yes,
Max.
please get that correct.
Duster.
That came out this week, or is it next week?
Dropped May the 15th.
So
once a week for 8 weeks.
Oh, I didn't even highlight Duster. I don't know. Does it look good?
It's about an FBI agent.
cannot
Takes
help
place
in
the
this.
70s.
I believe you.
Yeah. Supposed to be pretty cool.
Can we move on?
Oh yeah, I mean maybe it'll be good. Sure.
All right.
Go ahead.
What else?
Tell
what
us
else?
about it next week, Glenn. Or Stan.
What else?
There's other stuff.
Like what?
The Brutalist is streaming. On,
I do want to watch The Brutalist
on Max. It's still Max for another month or so.
There? You sure?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they said.
They've been definitely pushing HBO Max.
Well, they're like, guess what's coming?
Oh, okay.
A new game.
All right. Fair.
As my manager, you've been lax this week.
You don't have a wedding booked?
I don't have a wedding booked.
Alex, are you thinking about getting married anytime soon? No? Not soon? All right. Well, when you do, we already got that part of it taken care of. I got your officiant right here. This man, no one officiates 100% success rate. Literally every marriage he's officiated so far, they're still together.
Wow.
Has not had a single divorce yet in his officiant career. So just keep that in mind when you think about making that decision yourself.
Murderbot, new series on Apple TV Plus. Based on a book series.
Hold on.
Yeah.
That's not true any longer.
Oh, God, no.
No.
Alexander Skarsgård is apparently he's an AI bot, like a robot, and then he becomes self-aware and but people don't know, and then they finally find out. And,
all right.
It's based on a book. Might be
say
good.
so.
It's on Apple TV Plus.
I'll believe you.
Peter Sarsgaard. Peter Sarsgaard.
It's Alexander Skarsgård. Yeah, not Stellan Skarsgård either.
I don't know what I'm watching right now.
Well, I think he's got to put eye drops in.
All right.
Or milk, maybe?
Go ahead.
Scarlett Johansson's hosting the season 50 finale.
Everybody seems to think that's because this is the end of the road for Colin Jost.
Oh, she's just gonna kill him, or?
Yes, correct. They're gonna kill him off in the season finale. That's the plan. A lot of people saying it's going to be the end of the road for both he and Michael Che, which would be very sad if that were the case. But
maybe Bad Bunny will be the new.
He's going to do an update. That's going to be what they're going to do.
Bad Bunny and ScarJo on SNL. New episode of Last of Us. The penultimate episode of this season of Last of Us rehearsal, and John Oliver on
All right, very good.
By the way, very sad to say that Baltimore's own Gabby Simone voted off of American
son
Idol.
of a bitch. That's
She's
it.
she's
That's
terrific.
it. I want to make this.
I wasn't caught up.
I refuse to watch another episode of American Idol this season because of that. I won't watch
Just
one.
this season?
Not one more minute of American Idol this year after they voted off. What was her name was again?
Gabby Simone.
Gabby Simone. Sons
She
of
sang
bitches.
the national anthem on opening day.
I do
this
remember
year.
that.
She
I
was
didn't
very
remember.
good.
She was very good. It was a very good anthem. You sons of bitches. Vengeance. I will bring it down upon you for what you've done here.
People have been successful after.
Peptide is
remind me again. Her name is
Gabby Simone.
You sons of you voted off the Gabby Simone, the future 10-time Grammy Award winner.
Wow.
And
I'm booked to officiate her wedding.
yes,
wow,
we're working on that. And you voted her off American Idol. This is worse than when you picked Taylor Hicks to win. I would name other winners, but I think I can only name
Kelly
4.
Clarkson, right?
Kelly Clarkson, Carrie Underwood, Taylor Hicks, and
Fantasia.
Fantasia won? I thought she was just on the show. I didn't realize she won. Oh,
Who was the country guy? Was it Charlie something?
Oh, Scotty McCreery. Did he win?
Did
he win?
Yeah.
I never know who actually won.
They
and who
got
was
a
just
guy
on the
this
show.
year that reminds me of him. That guy
Really?
with the cowboy hat.
John
Taylor.
Trying to really go down, leap in, draw.
You nailed it.
Yep, that's my
I
Scotty.
think
That's my Scotty McCreery. That's what I've got for
I
you.
think Slater's
Better than my Bernie Sanders.
I think Slater's going to win this year.
I don't. It could be anybody, but I tell you what's not going to happen. I'm not going to watch. I'm not going to do it. I refuse. Flatly
What do you think
refuse.
of Carrie Underwood as a judge?
She's one of the judges.
Is Katy Perry judging?
What?
Is Katy Perry still judging?
No.
I'm less interested
Carrie
now.
Underwood took her.
I'm less interested in the story. I was a fan.
She left of her own volition. Katy Perry.
So she could
I miss her.
So she could go to space.
I miss her.
That's great. She's an astronaut now. You show some respect, 100%. All right. Thank you to Stan. Thank you also to Mike Tirico.
How about?
No thank you to Alex. He hasn't done anything yet. He doesn't. You got to earn that. You earn your thank yous around here. You actually have to accomplish something. Alex has been through a lot.
Have you sent him to look for the key to the batting cage?
Oh man, we should. Alex has been through. Alex had to fight through like 6 different ACL injuries. Wow. Like he tore his torn ACL. It's the whole thing. And he battled back to get on the field this season. So I am appreciative
Get
of
back
that.
on the field as your.
Yes, he didn't really care about his lacrosse career. He was way more concerned about this right here. In fact, I told him he wasn't allowed to do this until he got back on the lacrosse field.
Okay.
And that was what pushed him. Otherwise, in fact, it was
Congratulations.
downright reckless that he played this season. But that was the length he was willing to go in order to be here as part of what we're doing on GCR. That's commitment. And you know what?
I thought he was going to meet Gabby Simone here.
Right. And then she again is.
What?
I will not watch.
She sung the national anthem.
You a-holes. All right. Thanks to Stan. Thanks also today to Mike Tirico and to Eno Sarris. We'll get all that up in the greatest hits section of the.
Let's go, Max. You're the best wrestler alive. Let's go, Max. You're the best wrestler alive.
Tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Monday we'll do stuff. I don't know.
Talk about the Orioles.
Probably. Hopefully there'll be something play.
Do you think we'll have a new person?
Maybe we'll put a person on the board again. Or maybe by Monday
Who was
the board
last
is gone.
Man of the match. Who was the last
Gunner? Match. I guess it was Gunner on Sunday. Yeah, Sunday was Gunner. Yes. Had the home run and the double.
And then Sagano was what, Friday
Last
night?
Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the last 2. All right, thanks everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Preakness Festival, Game Day Men's Health, Live Casino and Hotel, Cruise Maryland, Crown Trophy, Easy Pass, Baltimore's Classic 5 golf courses, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, the Costa Sin, Maryland Sports, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great weekend. Go Birds. Go Maryland Lacrosse. Anybody else that we care about? Duke sucks. For some reason, Griffin doesn't like watching